Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the recovery addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
Got the wrong guy. The dog was biting him.
He roughened him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
Happy Monday. It is good to be here. That's not good. Hang on. Where's my courtroom gone? Well, now the courtroom's gone. I'm in black. Well, we'll have to use that. We'll have to use that for now. How does that look on the full screen? Wow. It looks very dark. I'm sitting in the void right now. We'll work on that later. All right. Happy Monday. I know I said I wasn't going to live stream today, but I also said I was going to do a police chase on Saturday, and it turns out the police chase was super boring. It was an hour and a half long. There was one spike strip about 10 minutes in. And then there was absolutely nothing until the very end when there were 5 pit stops in like 30 seconds. But everything in the middle was just like a big nothing. You want to go back there? Yes. I don't know. I can let you do that. What are you looking for? A book? Which one? Hang on. I have to get a book for the kids. Who, even though it's I see it. Even though it's a holiday, Mrs. R.A. has the kids in school today because, because they can. So anyway, had to grab her a book for school. It's been a crazy weekend. First of all, last time we saw Mr. Murdaugh, he was here. He was getting in his Uber for a ride back, and I think he's still there. I think he's in there right now in this little video clip. But Friday we left Mr. Murda headed to the jail, and we actually had a lot of things to mull over in our heads. It was crazy with the timeline that had been issued and everything. We've got a lot to think about, and that's what I want to talk about today. Before I do that, though, I'm getting ahead of myself. We weren't going to live stream today, but we did, and so. We have to give away the internet, and I choose 6-volt bus because he was first in chat, and he chatted with a spicy maple bourbon pickle picture emoji, which is great. So thank you, 6-volt bus. We'll give it to you today. I'm not a cat. I can turn those up a little bit. Let's see that sound's going the wrong way. It needs to go through headphones on louder. There we go. Okay, now the sound should work a little bit better. So let's see who else is here. True Celtic Mutt from Virginia. Anyone want a piece of my chocolate cherry cheesecake? Birthday cake, Mutt. Is today your birthday? Happy birthday. Let's see. Sunshine Ritz says, hey, Sunshine Sunflowers and 6-volt bus. Happy birthday, fellow addicts. Who all has birthdays today? Or did Celtic Mutt bring Sunshine Sunflowers and 6-volt bus birthday cake? I missed the chat. I was distracted by a squirrel. Just a little bit. Let's see. Okay, Rowdy, Red Pen, Katrina, Tag, Wanda French, good morning. Samantha Terry, Suzanne, made from scratch, I must add. Mutt, you don't live that far from me. A couple hour drive and I could be at your place. Let's see, Richard on a globe. Let's see. 80s Music Man. I'm trying to see whose birthday it is. Samantha Terry, Katrina, Sunshine Sunflowers, Tag. I almost got the Peeps thing done. Almost. I'm very close. I think I should be able to finish it today, especially since we don't have court. Denise, Malapropist.
I'm not a camel.
I miss Poot already. Let's see. Rowdy, Red Pen, Sunshine Sunflowers, Samantha, Jojo Peter, good morning. Thank you for all the views on my 666B. I wonder whose birthday is it? Does everyone have a birthday today? I'm just curious. I'm asking for a friend. Melissa, Mountain Mama, good morning. Happy Monday. I hope you're having a great holiday. For those of you that are in the United States. I know out of the United States, it's just another Monday, and I apologize for that. But hopefully you're having a good holiday. Let's see here. Got to fix my background. Me being in the black square just throws off my groove. Rowdy's here. Good morning. JK, Dean as well. You're talking about things that are not relevant. No, the timeline is relevant. That's what we're going to talk about today, and why I'm leaning quite firmly to the guilty side because of it. Let's see, 6-volt bus, weather watch, my dog Murray. I think I just skipped everybody. Creative B, I did. It just updated a million things up above where I was at. Oh, holy cow. Where was I last? There we go. Weather watch is here. Good morning. Weather watch. If you're bored, I can pull Zoom up and you can join us. It's gonna be a laid back show for a little bit. Let's see. Denise on a globe. Richard, the king approacheth. Tina Weeks, good morning. Texas Tough is here. All rise. No court today. Casual. Stay near flip flops and remain seated. DH2, the JD is here. Tina P, Donna Thompson, Shells, Jennifer Cardillo, good morning. Great. KH in South Carolina is here. I was almost late. I might have been like a minute late, but really, what's a minute between friends, you know? Holly Henderson's here. Dallas K, good morning, Dallas. Nurgle Rot is here. Hello, Eric. JM, good morning. Katrina Scarcella. Good morning, Katrina. Need to be glamping is here. Well, good morning. I hope everyone got a little bit of extra shut-eye this morning, a little bit of extra sleep. Adam Nuskey's here, Last Poet. Lee, JM, Texas Tough. Alec Murdaugh is guilty as charged. I'm leaning quite strongly that way. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. Gabrielle's here. Laura, Miss Chris, Jim Bob. Courtroom's closed, but we're open for business. Tag, Suzanne. Is there court today? Unfortunately, no. Okay. But we've got a few things to deal with from last week, and a lot has come out. A lot of analysis. A lot of different people have put together their thoughts on exactly what's happened. Oh, that sounds better. Boosted the audio to 100%. So we're going to talk about that. Let's see. Sometimes Alias is here as well. Let me switch to that here. There we go. Okay. A little bit. Surprise. We're here. It's okay. Court's closed today. We're going to just catch up on some stuff. Anyone watching HBO miniseries on the Murdaughs? Katerina, I'm going to wait till after the trial's over. And if I watch anything, it'll be after that. I don't want to cloud my mind with things the jury doesn't hear. That's my approach right now. Red Pen, I'm in outer space. I'm going to fix it here. I think I've actually got it. Nope, wrong machine. I could do this, but it'd take a second. We saw behind the illusion, and I'm sure there's a screenshot out there. So let's see. 80s Music Man. The problem was I was in jail. For those of you that didn't know, on Friday night, we did our Weather Watch, and I did our first podcast. We had a podcast together. It was a lot of fun. I learned a ton. Things I'm going to do better next time. Weather Watch was phenomenal. It was great. But I was in jail as my background. I had the Knoxville jailhouse, the men's jail, behind me, and somehow that broke everything. When I tried to break out of jail, it broke my courthouse. Rich says, one nice surprise. Nancy. It was so much fun on Friday. Thank you all for being there. It was a blast. You guys' support was unbelievable as well. Chandra is here. Sunshine Sunflowers. Good morning to you as well. Samantha Terry, Golden Mom, Canes fan. Alex Murdaugh Stolik. That sound should be working right now. If you type !Alex, should play properly. Woot woot, who's talking now? I'm supposed to scream into the void, not out of it. That might be my problem, Katrina. I'm facing the wrong direction. French Fry is here. I'll be watching my 2-year-old granddaughter today. That makes me happy. I'll still listen. Well, hello to your 2-year-old granddaughter, French Fry. That's awesome. Should be a fun day. Timeline proves his involvement in the murders. Yes, Dean. I think the way you worded that is very good. It proves his involvement in the murders. I don't think the state will. I don't think there is any evidence that we've found that will prove his that he directly committed the crime. That there's no video, there's no fingerprint on the trigger type thing, video of the killing. I don't think we're going to get that. But involvement in the murders, yes. And then you've got the whole reasonable inference, which legally the jury is allowed to reach conclusions of reasonable inference about his guilt. And that's, I think, what's going to take us across the line. Let's see. T-Rocks, Mary Kay, good morning. Laura's here as well. JM, I enjoyed the podcast. It was awesome. Thank you, JM. We've already got people sending in suggestions for stories. There are a couple things we asked suggestions from all of you for the next podcast, and if your suggestion gets selected, of course, you get a big shout out on the podcast as well. So we've already got those coming into the burner phone of just crazy stories in the news from around the world. So we'll take a look at some of those on the next podcast. And I think I have to eat something. I think I got like double dog dared into eating a very interesting food concoction that I'm not sure how good it's going to be. At least it's not the one chip challenge, but it might be something to put in the never again category. Marilyn is here. Good morning. TW, Tina P, Samantha Terry, I got you a couple times. Broadway Garden, good morning from Florida. I'm filming my garden shorts, my greenhouse while listening, wishing you all the best. That sounds awesome. Filming garden shorts. Broadway, I'll have to check out your channel if you're talking about YouTube shorts. I had a greenhouse briefly. I'm actually raised fish in it, tilapia. But I don't want to confess to that because it's a crime. And the state that I was doing it in. Tag has recovered at only one spike string. Only one spike string. Geesh, that sucks. One spike string. I'm missing it. Something is not translating to my brain. I'm sure you said what's appropriate. I just don't understand what we're talking about, Tag. So remind me. Uber Cage. Yes, that says Uber Cage. Oh, I'm still showing it. It loops. Sorry. My bad. How many times does he have to drive off? We put all of the Alex Murdaughs in prison over the weekend, apparently, in jail. Janice, good morning from Pinehurst. Good to have you here. Jim Bob, where can I hire this Uber? I have a giant list of people to pick up in it. Jim Bob, I never want to be on that list of yours. But I imagine for the right price that Uber could come pick somebody up. Last Poet, DUI guy shot that footage. He did. This is DUI guy's YouTube footage. Thank you very much for indicating that. I should have called that out immediately because he did share that. DUI guy has spent a ton of time down in the courtroom. For those of you that know, you probably if you know who DUI guy is, you know that he got a lot of attention way back in the Johnny Depp trial for doing some juror analysis there, and he's not. That's not all he does. He's also just recently taken on a case that's I think it's pro bono too. That's of significance to me particularly because it's a YouTuber that got hit with like 1 million copyright strikes for sharing footage of a court case. And, it only takes 3 to shut down a channel, but he got hit with like 50 or 60 or something of them all at once. And so he's fighting this in court. And the impact of what the outcome of that case will definitely impact, my livelihood as well as his. So I'm just excited for him. He is a great guy. I know some of you aren't big on the body language type analysis and the juror analysis type things during court. But he's a lawyer who does pick juries, and there are things that he observes and he can see, that he shares, and I think he does it in a pretty insightful way. So anyway, a big shout out to him for that footage that he posted. I hope he doesn't hit me with the copyright strike. That would be bad. Good morning. Glad you're live today. Thanks. It's Marissa. Dean Wall, good morning. Let's see. Cackle, Squirrel, Alex, Squirrel Seat. Missy Pants, another snowstorm coming to Minnesota, 3 to 4 feet. Is that all? Oh, my goodness. That's a ton of snow. Denise is here. Creative B, good morning. This is a nice surprise. All right, I'm almost through roll call, I think. Jay Hughes, T-Rox, Gordon, Laura Jimenez, or Jimenez? I forget. Was that the one I pronounced with an H? My 30th birthday is tomorrow. Such a privilege. Awesome Broadway Garden. Miss Chris. Morning, JB, she says. I'm not sure if JB's listening. I hope he is. I tell you, let me tell you one more thing. Over the weekend, I've got another shout out to do here, and I have to pull up the burner phone to tell you. Over the weekend, I got a call from Ronnie McNeely. Ronnie McNeely in Orangeburg, South Carolina. And I was actually driving out of town to go metal detecting at a friend's property. It's awesome. Squirrel story. I'll tell you that one in just a minute. I was driving there. I saw the phone call come in. It was a burner phone number, and I picked it up, and I'm like, "Hello," and he's like, "Is this Recovery Addict?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is Scott. What's up?" And he's like, "Is it really you?" and Ronnie and I had a great little talk. He's like, he's very much like JB. He says, "I don't know how to chat, but I love the show. I watch every day. You guys are amazing. Love the channel. Love the analysis." We talked a little bit about the trial, what we thought was coming up. How the prosecution did, what the defense has to do, things like that, and it was just really it was awesome to talk to him. And then unfortunately, I drove down into a hole cell phone coverage wise, and the call dropped, so we texted back and forth a little bit. But a big shout out to Ronnie. It was awesome to have him call and find out we've got another fan that's unable to chat but is there. So good morning to both Ronnie and JB. Great to have you both here. Now, I was talking about metal detecting, so let me follow that squirrel story while I'm there. I went to a property, a friend of mine here, that the family has owned the property since the 1800s, like early 1800s. And this property, I think it used to be like 2,000 acres or something. And a lot of it's been divided up, but most of it's still owned by family. So it's descendants of the homes that were built in the 1800s were related to the people who are now living in the homes, which is neat because you don't get that a lot of times nowadays. A lot of it changes hands, and the family, once the owner dies, they'll sell it off, and the kids will split the money or something like that. And so it's rare to have a family farm that's still in the family like that. So we were detecting, and everything we were finding was basically something that belonged to one of their ancestors. And so it was neat just to go through, and a lot of some of the stuff we found were just like, old pipelines. He's like, "Oh yeah, that explains, he had a little fish cleaning station here, and this is where they used to have the propane tank," and we're finding like copper lines and things in the yard. And then we found a Chinese coin. And this coin is old, but I don't know how old. So it's dated probably between, right around 1800 to newer. It's not one of the newer replica coins. It's the actual original old coin with a square hole in the middle. And found, the depth and everything corresponds with it being there quite a long time. And found out that there was one of the siblings in the family that actually traveled to the Orient and probably had mailed or had sent home a coin to his kids, and that's probably how it got there. So that was really cool. So it was probably an old coin he found over there, and it was deposited much newer and much more recently than that. But it was neat to find that. And then we also found an axe head, and it was a colonial style axe head where it has the V groove on the bottom. So you've got the blade on one side and the back on the other, and then it has this V protrusion down the bottom. Really cool, because this property was most likely cleared, like the trees were cleared using, that and other axes. And so the homeowner my friend was just over the moon with that, seeing that. So he's going to clean that up, and he'll have that cool memento. So that was a lot of fun. Anyway, so where was I? We were going to talk about court. Hey, Seven, good to have you here. Let's see. So here we go. Mutt, it's your birthday, and I'm having a subject matter jurisdiction, but a spicy maple bourbon pickle on hamburgers today. As for only being a few hours, come on up, I will share. Sounds awesome. Let's see, happy birthday tomorrow to Broadway. Happy birthday, Samantha Terry. This is great. Great chat, thank you. You guys are amazing. Let's see. Norma's here.
Subject matter jurisdiction.
Subject matter jurisdiction. Mac here as well. I think we're almost caught up. Is there anyone I missed? Happy birthday, Mutt. Missing Poot almost sounds like a medical condition. Sounds serious, whatever it is. Laura has a few months to go for the birthday. Happy birthday tomorrow, Broadway Garden. If you're able to join us, do remind me. We'd love to give you a birthday shout out on your birthday as well, but I would understand if you were off doing other things. It's also a holiday in Canada. It's nice that those two line up. That is awesome. Dean, good to know that. Okay. I think I get to the bottom and then chat just suddenly updates with so much more. It's my unbirthday, says Gordon. Happy unbirthday, Gordon. Canada has a holiday family day. JM, horse sheet and bananas. Not my birthday today, but happy birthday to those that have one today. Whenever he reads your name off, I hear the song Take Me Home, Country Roads. Take me home, country roads. West Virginia, I love that song. Let's see. Dutch Girl, I'm glad you're here. We don't have a holiday, so it wasn't fair. No fair to Dutch Girl having to work and us got a holiday, right? I had a birthday 3 months ago today. Does that count? It's close enough, Canes fan. Jessica Lagalbo, good morning. Thanks for taking a seat. Let's see. Happy unbirthday tag. Let's see. I'm trying to get everybody. Carol Martin, I'm not sure if I called you already. For me, there's too many unanswered questions on his track record, and his track record is very bad. Let's see. If you really want it, it's my birthday too. Dutch Girl, is it really your birthday? How many people have birthdays today? This is crazy. Don't trust your soul to no backward southern lawyer. Because the judge in the town's got bloodstain on his hands, right, Jennifer? If I remember the song. Andrea DCS, yay, so happy you're live. I am. We're going to get through this. Roll call here. I'm falling way behind. Hans van Ganeshen. Great no holiday. Another reminder of a guy that helped enable the loss of our precious colonies. I'm sorry. We were out when Mrs. Ari was exercising this morning. She was actually listening to one of the songs from Hamilton, and it was I'll send my fully armed battalion to remind you of my love type thing. It was a funny song. For those that have watched the musical Hamilton, a little bit about that. Let's see, Katrina Gordon, la 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 la. BU Me is here as well. JM, T-Rock, Suzanne, Samantha Terry, Ritz. Yay on the podcast, great job. Thank you. We're going to improve it. It's going to get better. Red Pen. Oh, it's a joke, but all of my Dutch to English is suddenly not very funny anymore. You know, the problem is that we don't have a sarcasm font, Dutch Girl. We need a sarcasm font or at least an emoji. Adam Nusky. Ed Kathy, good morning. Wanda French. Seekers, good morning to you as well. Let's see. I'm not sure if... I think I told WeatherWatch that I had Zoom open, but then I didn't. Let's see. I don't know where it went. Oh, there it is. Okay, Rev Minister, I see you as well. I think we're almost caught up. Ketchup and boiled egg. Oh, not that one. That's not the one I'm going to try. That is too much. That's a bridge too far, as the judge would say here. Donna Thompson. I stayed up to listen to you and Weather Watch. Great show. Can't wait for the next one. You're funny together. You stayed up to watch you must have been like 3 o'clock in the morning, Dutch Girl. That is crazy that you stayed up to watch that. Thank you so much. I am sitting in the dark. Someone pays electric bill. I'll get it fixed here in a minute if we have just a little break. The high-speed chase I was referring to, you'll catch up to it. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you very much. It's in reference to the chase, and I probably skipped the text or the words because I was watching on high speed. Did not get to see the live podcast, but Friday was great. Let's see. Used to drive that Uber, says Mountain Mama. Did it pay well? Okay, I think we've got everybody. I'm not seeing any new names. Oh, Veronica Reyes, I see you there. Heather Barnett, thank you very much. Super chat as well. On the rewatch crew. Thank you for that, Heather Barnett. I wish I could put it up on the screen. It doesn't let me do that, but wait, maybe it might. Hold tight. Let me see if I'm learning more about this this software I'm using. Let's see. Nope, it didn't register it on the software because it was down at the time it happened. Oh well. DUI guy gives inside scoop. He's present in the courtroom in the trial. Just wish he'd ease up on the cursing. Carol Martin, he has two modes, and when he's on someone else's show that is not curse friendly, he can switch to not curse friendly. You realize he's an attorney as well, so he's more comfortable with some expletives, and generally he's not too bad. Sometimes he can get a little on the strong side, but he's able to present in court without expletives pretty well, and he also does so on other shows. Sierra, why can't I find the trial streaming live? Sierra, it's actually not streaming today. That's the problem. We've got a holiday, so it'll start again tomorrow morning. Let's see, Jill Hipple, I see you as well. Sierra Eldridge. Carly S., good morning to you. Maggie Sale, your Glasgow granny wants to know what speed Maggie's phone was traveling when it changed trajectory. I wish they had that data. It's not that specific. Probably 42 miles an hour. Ivan Victor, howdy, late. No one told me there was a stream. It was a surprise stream, Ivan. It was a surprise. Let's see, DSN, Ritz, Red Pen, Katrina, Carol, Heather, T-Rocks. Sea Monkey, would love a stream with you doing a Q&A. We can do that. We can do that right now because we have nothing else today. But I want to talk about the timeline first. Jim Bob is rural Canadian potty mouth. Cindy Smith, I was surprised you're live today. I was also equally surprised, Cindy. Terry Lewis, is here. Sorry, I combined Cindy Smith and Terry Lewis together, and we got a Terry Smith there. Dublin Girl, good morning, everyone from or afternoon from Ireland. JR as well. Okay, I think I'm caught up. Ed as well. The only thing interesting about DUI guy is he is in the courtroom commenting on how the jury is reacting. Yeah, I like that. I will give him this. If I don't drink, so I don't think I'll ever need his services directly as a DUI lawyer, but he is a very, very good DUI lawyer. And his basic philosophy is not so much was my client guilty or not. It's more along the lines of, can the state prove my client was guilty, which is the requirement. The state, you should not put somebody in jail if the state can't prove that they're guilty of the crime they're being charged with. So he's very good at that. Might need to check him out. He's a cool guy. He has a pretty cool sense of humor. He does get a little vulgar, just as a heads up. But okay. Y'all, my super brother has a birthday today. Laura, happy birthday to your brother today. Good show on Friday. You and Weather Watch. Thank you. Okay, let's see. We've got things to talk about. First of all, I've got to fix my my courtroom, which means I have to turn off this camera just first. Well, I have to turn off all the cameras. How do I hide? How do I hide with nothing to show? Well, I just have to. You guys are going to see that it's No Pants Monday as well. Okay, and after all that, it's already connected. Okay, so that was funny. Little exercise in futility there. Let's connect here. My media file disappeared. That would be why. Let's find my pictures. There it is. Found it. Okay, we're going to bring court back here really quickly. Boom. And I'm back in court. Just that easy. Bit of lurking for this morning, Weather Watch. Our company's working today. Bummer, Weather Watch. Okay, appreciate it, though. Have you seen or been gifted with the yodeling pickle? Cheryl. I have. I got this from Rosie in Tucson, and I actually we had pickles before, like Emily had pickles, and I think even before Peter had his, but Emily received her yodeling pickle before I got mine, like a day or two before. So pickles have always been our thing, and I don't know how it spread, but it was pretty funny. The show Friday was amazing. Loved it. Haven't laughed like that in a long time. Can't wait to hear your thoughts on Oreo pickle cookies. Laura, you nailed it. This is the one I'm going to try. It's going to be an Oreo pickle cookie. Oreos are a treat that I really like, and pickles are things I really like. But I'm going to combine the two and let you know how it goes. Maybe you should do the jail background, as there's no court today. We could switch to jail. It's pretty easy to get put in jail just like that. So I guess I should be in jail because Weather Watch said he wouldn't bail me out till Tuesday. Amber's here. DUI guy is actually a recovering alcoholic and advocates for his clients and their sobriety. Really cool guy if you can get past the language. Colorful language doesn't bother me. Thank you for that insight, Amber. I appreciate that. Your mic boom is amazingly quiet. It is. It has a little bit of noise, mostly because I've wrapped the cord around it. This is made by Rode. Which they make it's the PS1A microphone boom, and it can go anywhere. It can like reach all over the place, and it's not very loud. So I like it. Angie just popping in to say hi. Thank you. Oddly, the liquor store is open too. I think people would riot if we closed. Tea-Back Tuesday. Okay, I think that's fair. We can see her back anyway, so no worry for the fix the background. Thanks for blurring that out, 80s Music Man. We had pickles before they were cool. We did. Okay, I think we're caught up. This is the True Pickle channel, except no substitutes. Tish, I don't think they did a lie detector test. Part of the problem is they're generally not admissible in court, and so it doesn't really prove anything. They already think that he's guilty, and it wouldn't change their minds. Ritz crackers and pickles, we might have to do that as a secondary option. Dean, I can't read your text. We do need water. I need water here in a little bit. When did the show start? It started at 9:30, so we've just been going for half hour. We need to get to the data. Oh, man, rough surgery for Monica. Hopefully you get some recovery time and rest, Monica. I'm so sorry you're going through that. Our thoughts and prayers go out to you. Thanks for being here. If you can help anyway, let us know. I'm going to eat it on the podcast. We're going to try it, Laura. Okay. You can make it work. The Oreo cookie and pickle combo is not awful. Mine was Oreo cookie ice cream sandwich with the kosher dill, so spicy. Maple bourbon could be funky. I don't know about whiskey sours. Okay. All right, here we go. We're all caught up. We've got to let's see. We've got to talk some serious stuff about the timeline. Now, let me see if I can bring this up here. I'm going to shut this window down. Okay, so let's talk timeline for a little bit. For those of you that were here on Friday and heard the testimony from the timeline witness as they put it all together, this is what we were asking for them to do all along. We wanted to see this put together in a way that the jury could really see step by step, logically, follow the events, follow the pertinent events, because the best thing about this timeline is there's almost nothing financially related in it. All this, the other drama and stuff that's not all the thefts from different people and the court cases and the boat and things like that. Some of those dates are important, but if you just get rid of all the money, okay, and just say money may have been a motive, and then move on, and just look at the timeline, it makes it so much easier to look at, so much easier. We will get stretch breaks, Canes fan. I'm going to get some water so I can keep talking. Hang on. Here's your warning, by the way. All right, and no major spills on the laptop either, so that was a good start. Mine laptop. Thank you, Katrina. Mr. Rapporteur says, my biggest issue with the timeline is we're assuming that phones turning off forever means they died. That doesn't prove time of death to me. In my opinion, that window is Snapchat video when the bodies were found. Okay, so it doesn't prove they die then. All we have is patterns. Their patterns, how Paul's use of the phone, his average time to respond to a text message was 13 seconds. This guy lived with his phone in his hand, and whatever he was doing, when the phone buzzed, he'd pick it up and respond and read it and move on type thing. It was so between that and existing conversations that he was involved with that suddenly stopped, I think you can reasonably infer that something occurred that prevented them from checking their phones. Especially combine that with the lack of movement and orientation shifts and holding still and locking and things like that. Paul's phone, sitting on his body. I think we can infer that they died at that time. That would put their time of death about 8:40 to 8:50, roughly in that time period. And I don't know which one was shot first. I think it would probably reasonably it would be Paul first and then Maggie. But I want to spell through a couple things. And I'm going to use for this timeline. I'm going to use the Churchwell charts. Just 1 second here. Where's it at? Let's bring this one over. Okay, hold tight. Let me bring this up on the screen so I can show you. And I'll try to make it big enough that we can read this properly. I need to be somewhere else. I'm in the way. I'll be down here. So let me grow this just a tiny bit. This is from Brandy N. Church on Twitter. She makes this Churchwell chart, this timeline, and so I'm gonna sort of try to follow along through this, because on the right hand side, she takes the data on the left hand side and then adds to it what she thinks, or her a very common belief about those events, what was actually happening. So it helps you just envision it and see how these things could line up together. So I need to go full screen so I can see this. Okay, so what we have here, most importantly, data highlighted in pink is Maggie. Man, I cannot see. Okay, pink is Maggie, green is Alex, and blue is Paul. And on my screen, I can only see pink. I don't know why the blue just fades away and there's no green. So I'll let you look at that. So first we have the daytime. Maggie's in Charleston area for a doctor's appointment. Paul's at John Marvin's in Okatee. Alex is at work. Okay. So we're going to skip ahead. Alex is driving home right here. Alex gets home, changes his clothes. This is about 6:42. He changed into the Snapchat clothes. Probably showered, leaving blood-free khakis on the floor by the shower, gathered clothes, shoes, etc., in a plastic bag to stash later after the murders. That part I'm not confident on. I think he probably didn't. He probably planned it out before the day of. Paul gets home. Time spent in and around the house, about 18 minutes. We know that Paul had some problems with his feet, that they were swelling, and so walking was not comfortable for him. But they do go out around the house and right around the property together, and they do some shooting together. So there's a likely chance that both the shotgun and the 300 Blackout were in that truck as they drove around the property. That's where we get the Snapchat video and everything else of the tree and all that. Alex and Paul are at the kennels for 15 minutes. Oh wait, sorry, Snapchat's not yet. I don't think that's down just a tiny bit. So at the kennels, they leave back the kennels, head back towards the house. They return to the house. Maggie arrives. They eat supper. I think the Snapchat was in there somewhere that I just missed it. They head to the kennels about 8:30. At the kennels, and so you've got Alex, Maggie, and Paul at the kennels. Probably all three of them in Paul's truck. They go down there. There's the video at the kennels in here in yellow with all three voices. That is at 8:44. It ends at 8:45. This texts stop at 8:59. So basically almost 8:49. Paul texts from Megan, is last read. The display lights up, text received, device is unlocked, open group from text, last text read, device locked for the last time. That's Maggie at the same time, 8:49. Paul has a text from Rogan. Paul text from Megan, opened, last read. This is the last activity here, 8:49, 27 seconds. Open group text from, this is on Pink, so this is on Maggie's phone. She reads this text, and then 8:49 even, Paul's phone screen turned off, and it stays turned off. At 8:50, Paul and Maggie are shot. This is roughly at 8:50. The hose is already on per the Snapchat video. We can hear the water in the background. Here's where we sort of delve into the theory of what happened. Alex puts bloody clothes in the bag, stashed early, uses a hose to clean himself, takes ATV, left print on Maggie, and I'm not sure if that's exactly how it happened, to ride over to the skin house and to grab cooler and back. So the cooler is the cooler that we've heard about that disappeared at the skin house, and they never saw it again. Whoa, loud truck driving by. Uses the cooler, puts his bloody clothes in, picks up Maggie's phone, which stays in his hand for the next 2.5 minutes, causing orientation changes. And this happened. So we've got the recording of the phone moving around with orientation changes while the screen is locked. He probably stayed in boxer shorts and undershirt until getting back to the house to quickly shower. He wraps the hose back up when done cleaning himself, puts gun inside raincoat, that thing with the cooler in the back of Paul. Put that along with the cooler in the back of Paul's truck, possibly used blue tarp in the truck to prevent any blood DNA transfer that he wasn't able to wash off. He drives Paul's truck back to the house. He arrives back at the house. This is at 8:58, so this is less than 10 minutes later. Next 5 minutes used to take a quick shower, per Blanca's testimony, damp towel in closet and towel by shower. Grabs shorts and tee out of a closet, stages Maggie's clothes by the tub and pajamas downstairs to make his extended alibi look more realistic. At night, just after 9, he grabs his phone and heads out to the driveway. Key fob or opening door begins, system boot up. He moves tarp from Paul's truck to the back of the Suburban and puts the cooler of clothes and the guns on it. He grabs Maggie's phone out of the truck and gets in his car to leave for his mom's house. At 9:06, he grabs Maggie's phone. Orientation changes as he picks it up from the truck and takes it to his car. He calls it again, then puts it down on the seat, the cup holder, and orientation changes for the last time. 9:06, Alex starts to leave. The red is a lie. He told law enforcement he was certain he had heard them pull up before he left, but they didn't. Then he mentioned seeing a wildcat that he didn't think was a human. Owen asked about Maggie going with him to Mom's. He said she usually didn't, and they didn't have it planned. Marion and Blanca both said that he asked her to come for that reason. Continues at about 9:08 or 9:06. Alex tosses Maggie's phone out the window on his way to Alameda. Display comes on as he picks it up and he throws it. Testimony showed the orientation changes would likely not happen when tossed because phone was locked, consistent with him throwing it out at this point. Makes multiple calls on the way to create an alibi trail. Alex said, Belinda Rast said Alex and Maggie came by at 9 on Sunday, but Dad was asleep. When she told him the next day, he thought it was weird they came that late. Alex said Mom gets nervous, so he went to check on her, but Belinda also testified Miss Libby takes night meds at 8 p.m. and gets sleepy. Alex also told law enforcement he called Paul and Maggie on the way, but he never called Paul. Said in another interview he wasn't sure if he did. So here we've got now Alex at Mom's house. Per Miss Shelley, who was wearing shorts and a T-shirt. She recalls him wearing Sperry shoes, cloth-type shoes with no socks. The same type shoes Blanca said she never saw again, and that he used to slip on to wear around. Tried to give Shelley false memories about him being there longer. He then drives 45 seconds to the smoke shed, at Mom's house, stashes guns and bag of clothes, allegedly, drives back to Moselle, making multiple calls along the way. Said he went in the main drive and Maggie and Paul's cars are at the house. Doesn't know how they got to the kennels. This is important because Paul can't walk, right? Paul can't walk because his feet are hurting. He drives everywhere. Maggie walked a lot, but unlikely for Paul. So at 10 o'clock. He parks at Skin Shed for 41 seconds to drop off cooler. Hoping GPS data clears this up, she says, out of park. We're going to skip down through here because this is before some of the GPS data we had. But he drives to the kennels, 1 minute drive to the kennels to discover the body, checks to see if Maggie has Find My Phone enabled, arrives at kennels, only parked 19 seconds before calling 911. I think it was actually 17 seconds, considering the previous call. He calls 9111. But this is where I want to stop on this sheet and show you a different one. So let me shrink this one down. This 17 seconds, can I not make that any bigger? This 17 seconds, I think, is what's going to convict him. The 17 seconds of him pulling in, seeing the bodies in the headlights, okay, and getting out, checking the bodies, and calling 911. This all has to happen in 17 seconds for Alex to be telling the truth. And it's a little bit crucial because if it can't happen in 17 seconds, some of the information he's given us, which we know is true, had to have happened earlier, and he had to have been at the bodies earlier before his truck got there, which I believe creates a reasonable inference of guilt. So during the 17 seconds between arriving at the murder scene and calling 911, Alex tells police, 1, he goes to Paul's body, tries to turn Paul's body over. Paul's phone falls out of his pocket. He picks up Paul's phone and starts to fiddle with it, decides against doing that, and props it up on the back pocket. He then checks something on Paul's phone and sets it back down. He checks Paul's pulse. Then he moves to Maggie's body. He checks Maggie's pulse, and then he calls 911 in 17 seconds. Okay? And we had the attorney, the defense counsel up there, saying he got somebody to say it was about 20 seconds. And so he set a timer for 20 seconds, and we got to sit there for 20 seconds, which seems really long. But when you put all these events into 17 seconds, and he's able to do it all without getting blood on him, because when the cops arrive, there's no blood on him, and he says he hasn't rinsed off. Okay? He walks up, he's right there at both scenes, touching both bodies, no blood on him, and makes these calls. It can't happen. It's like he'd have to be a speedrunner. He's like the Flash. Because not only does he do this in 17 seconds, but he makes the call from inside the car on Bluetooth. He's sitting in the car, speaking in the car. The Bluetooth is connected on this record, which means he cannot be out walking around because the speakers and the microphone are inside the car. Bluetooth has a limited range. I believe his phone was in the car at that time. His phone was in the car and he was in the car. The microphone and the speakers were enabled. The call was made on the Bluetooth. So he has to be in the car at that time, which means, so not only does he go to Paul's body, try to turn Paul's body over, picks up Paul's phone after it pops out of his pocket, checks something on Paul's phone, sets it back down, checks Paul's pulse, moves to Maggie's body, checks Maggie's pulse, and then before he calls 911, he has to run back to the car and get in the car and make that call. He also had to get out of the car in there as well. This is Jay Elliott. It cannot happen. And because we know he was at Paul's body, we know his phone did come out of his pocket. We know that he did prop it up on the pocket. We know that happened before he made that call to 911. He was there before. This was not his first visit to their bodies. That, to me, presents a reasonable inference of guilt. It does not prove to me that he pulled the trigger, but reasonably, I can assume he did. There are just too many lies. Am I wrong on this? What's your take? I've been ignoring chat just a little bit, so I'm sorry here. Let's see. Why? Here we go. Now I'm back. Okay. I just can't imagine Alex Murdaugh planning this, but my gut says guilty. Bella, I also can't imagine. I cannot imagine a father brutally killing his son and his wife. But we all know, because we watch true crime cases all the time, we all know that people commit murder for the weirdest reasons, which we never would get there. You know, in our heads, it doesn't make sense, but it happens. Okay, the people are dead. It happens. And we know that people commit murders for weird reasons. So some people are saying, yeah, but, you know, would you really do it if there wasn't insurance money? It could have been the drugs. It could have been somebody discovered that he was dealing drugs. It could have been that, that Maggie and Paul, when they, that text message we saw where Paul said he found the drugs in his computer bag, all these bags of pills. It could have been that he found the stash and Maggie flushed him down the toilet, and it's a lot of money, and he owes somebody a bunch of money for it, or it would have represented a lot of money coming in. He could have snapped. There's a ton of things that go into this. I suppose says you got him figured out. I don't know. I don't think I figured him out, but there are so many untruths, and they're key. They're key. Why is he fiddling with the phone when his son's brain has been blown out? Just my hang up. I think you're spot on. Yeah, la. He's just stumbles on the scene. So according to him, he had no idea anything was wrong until his headlights hit the bodies. So also in that 17 seconds, he is processing shock. Everything that's going on. How many people, when they hit like just a immense, a shocking situation like this that literally puts you into shock, would be like, this is where I'm the most effective and clear and can just accomplish the most things. I just switch into business mode, and I'm going to run and check the pulses. I'm going to do this and this. It's not reasonable to conclude that as soon as he suddenly saw that his beloved son and his wife were murdered, that he just became extremely efficient and just got it done. Netflix is starting a show about the Murdaughs on Wednesday. Where was Buster when they were murdered? Victoria, he was away in like Colombia or something, way out of town, with a pretty rock-solid alibi. Roadside, he said the details consistent with those were lied and never swayed. Roadside, he had the details consistent. Those were lies and never swayed. Murders all over the place and inconsistent. His 911 calls were so different between both calls. Death penalty is not on the table. They're not pursuing it, although South Carolina does have the death penalty. Question, reasonable doubt. If this were death penalty, are you that sure? Texas, I would wait until I heard from the defense, because we know that Alex has asserted an alibi, which he does have to prove. He has the responsibility of proving his alibi. But if defense were to rest today, I would vote to convict. Sociopaths think differently. Going to start a show about all the Murdaugh shows called Meta Murdaugh. That's funny, Adam. Good morning, Morton. Good to have you connect from the cold Scandinavian north. I believe there will be long jury deliberations. Lori, I believe so as well, because they don't have notes. They have to recreate everything in their head and probably flip through pretty much all the evidence. Do you think he was being blackmailed? Drugs don't cost what he was paying. Otherwise, many others couldn't afford it. Carol, I've been trying to chase the money on this, and unfortunately, it's going to be very difficult, because we know from all the different check runners they had, people that would run and cash checks, whether it was the housekeeper or the Tootanen at the shop, the kid who's now a cop, that would run to the bank and cash checks. Cash is very hard to track.
Rick Andrew just sent a super sticker with 4.
Thank you very much, Rick. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for your super support. And looks like a mug as well. love the picture. It's hard to track cash. It's very hard to track where the money was spent. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll be able to see. I doubt. I mean, I've said this before. And Ivan, I know you've said it was, drugs are a thing. I believe drugs were a thing, but I don't believe drugs were the only thing. I believe there were payoffs to people. I believe there was a network in place that allowed him to facilitate the crimes that he was committing, and that cost him money. Are you taking the whole thing? Okay. Thanks. Bay1 Gaming says, Recovery Addict may have connected the dots, but do we think every member of the jury has done the same? I think their inability to take note will be detrimental in a confusing case like this. I also agree. I still, you bring up the jury. I still am astounded that nobody jumped on the fact that the jury appears, at least to me, appears to have selected their own foreman before the judge chose one. When the judge went back and read that note, saying, hey, the jury wants to know why I chose a foreman. That's my practice. I do that. That's my courtroom. I've always selected the juror foreman. That's what I do. But the note said, do we have to use this new one, or can we keep the old one? Keep the old one means they already had one before the new one was selected, and they can't be talking. They can't be talking, discussing the case and who's going to, they might have been able to just elect a foreman, say, will you be the foreman? Okay, and not talk about anything else. But the fact that they did vote for that, and it shows they're discussing things, trial related. It screams mistrial for me. And I don't know why Poot didn't jump on that. Jay Elliott says, which means he grabbed Paul's phone, which means same person pulled trigger on Paul, which means they got their man. I get a real cool head during shock. Wanda, I'm similar. I don't like to go into shock, but at the same time, it might be, do you get a cool head enough that you can say that in 17 seconds you'd be able to do all these things? They're roughly 40 feet apart, the two victims' bodies. It's dark, so it's reasonable to infer that the headlights were such that he was probably 10 to 20 feet from Maggie's body where he parked, and Paul's body was further away with the headlights on both of them. So he would have to get out, walk there, or run there, running past Maggie first, over to Paul, and then checking Paul, and then running back to Maggie, and then running back to the phone in 17 seconds. I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can do that. Reminds me of the famous Lizzie Borden case. Their technology did not exist back then, but if it did, Lizzie would be tried for murder of her parents. Did you slow down the kennel video? It sounds like Maggie says, Eddie, there's a bird in his mouth. I'm not sure if I still have the kennel video pulled up here. Just one second.
Sir,
That's not the right one. Hang on. Just 1 minute. I don't have the kennel video on here. I've heard her say there's a bird in his mouth. Let me see if I can pull that up. Where will I do it? Right over here. Let me get the kennel video really quick for you. Let's see if this will play right. I'm not seeing the audio on it. Okay, that's not going to do any good if there's no audio. Just 1 second here.
Okay.
There we go.
Hey, he's got a bird in his mouth. Hey, he's got a bird in his mouth. Hey, he's got a bird in his mouth. Bubba.
Hey, Bubba.
That's a guinea.
This is a chicken.
Okay, I'm going to go back and listen to that again.
Hey, he's got a bird in his mouth. Bubba.
I don't think it's...
Hey, Bubba.
I think it's more a or hey, he's got a bird in his mouth. Because Bubba, the guy who says Bubba, is Alec. I think Dem's girl. I think she's saying, "Hey, he's got a bird in his mouth." Can't see what other witnesses Poot calls after the armpit temp taking coroner. I can't even imagine. DMB, it's going to be welcome, by the way. It's going to be experts, a lot of experts. As someone who found my sister after she passed, I was frozen. I don't know how long it would have taken me to respond. Thankfully, my husband was with me. Alex's response is not normal. I would go beyond not normal. I don't think it's possible, Melissa. I don't think it's possible to do all the things he did, all the things he said he did in that time, which the timestamps we have the timestamps. We know when it happened, and we know that some of them happened. Like we know that the phone was moved and balanced. It did not fall and bounce on the back of Paul's body. Okay, there's no way that happened. It did not fall out and just bounce and land on his butt. So we know that the phone was moved, and Alex said he moved it, and it cannot have happened in that time frame. Did I hear testimony right? Did Maggie's phone leave at the same time as his Suburban? Yes. It didn't record GPS locations. Her phone was did not have GPS settings enabled, possibly because she just wasn't running apps that shared the GPS location. But yes, the two correspond. Her phone and his truck. Does anyone else chuckle when he says it's a chicken? Yeah, she says, hey, not Eddie. Sounds like Eddie, but it's hey or a. Well spotted, though. Cachette, your girl, now you can stay all day. Allow for the southern drawl. I forgot about Maggie's phone. Because he did not have enough time, he had to do this prior, and this establishes more than presence. To me, it means the same person pulled the trigger. The other experts, I think, will be a lot better. The person he got, that's just the county coroner. That's just who happens to work there, the armpit expert. But the experts they're gonna bring in, they're flying in. We know that they're buying plane tickets to fly them in. These are experts that all they do is testify in high-profile murder cases like this. Their resumes are going to be amazing. It'll probably take quite a long time to go over, everything they've done and how many times they've been certified as an expert. Good morning, Tara Pink. Welcome. No other phones pinged there. Andrea, I've not seen that data. I've not heard from Verizon because pretty much Verizon was the only one that has coverage in that area. But I'm not sure if they did a search to say, show me all the phones in this area, or if they said, show me Alex, Maggie, Paul, Buster, show me all those phones during this time period. I know they can go back and do that. That's information that Verizon does have available.
Are we going to address subject matter jurisdiction?
We should. This evidence is the best to at least put him on the scene. They're still alive in the video, but this means more to me than most of the cell phone data. So, okay, so this is, you're talking about the one that's stuck on the screen here. Sorry about that. I should pay attention to what you guys are seeing. It's the drawl that makes it A. I agree. The Paul's video that he took is convincing, and it's the only way we know that Alec was there at that time. But that also disagrees with the fact that Alex said he was asleep at the house at that time. Timestamps are relative, not exact. Some timestamps are exact and some are not. Like, for instance, there's a timestamp of when the tree video was uploaded to Snapchat. That timestamp is different than the timestamp on the phone, which receives its information, its time from satellite. That's why, if you all grab all your phones together and set them together and watch the screen on the clock, they're all going to be like together. They're all synchronized. But the actual timestamp the video was taken is exact. He did it. He had to, says Rick. What's wild is they supposedly shot 5 minutes after the Snapchat. Do they need to confiscate your phone to legally get your phone data? Jim Bob, no. Because if you commit a crime and smash your phone immediately afterwards, they would still be able to recover data from the cell tower side, the carrier side. And they got that from Alex's phone in addition to the downloads from his phone. How do you explain the high-speed driving? I don't know why he sped. That doesn't make sense other than... See, he sped to Alameda, right? I think he sped to Alameda to possibly adjust the time that he was there, so that the sooner he got to Alameda, the harder it would be to say you were back at Moselle. Paul felt first shot, turned, saw his father. Can you imagine his last thoughts? Hey, he's got a bird in his mouth. That's what I hear as well. Would you and Weatherwatch consider doing a call-in show a couple times on your Friday podcast? Michelle, we might consider it, that is. We're trying to improve our format that we've got right now and do a little better job. It's I'd be willing to do a call-in right now, though, if you wanted to get some Q&A done. Do you have some questions you want answered? Because I can connect the burner phone right now. Give me a second here. Okay, Michelle, if you want to call in, if you have some questions, we can do it now. Maybe you want to talk to Weatherwatch and not me, though. I'd understand that. It's impossible to know this timeline. Some of it is speculation, but the time stamps we have, we have to build the theory around the time stamps. If you knew how long he'd sped, we'd have no info. Defense might close the gaps for us. I'm very accommodating. Do we know the speed limits on the roads? In my area, there are some limits that are 75. People go 80, 85 all the time on those. Good morning, Uncivil Law. Good to have you here. Welcome. I don't know. Kurt, you've got some friends here as well. I don't know the speed limit. I think it was like 50. Does that sound right on Moselle Road? And then once he gets on the main road, it probably goes to 65. Yeah, Uncivil Law. Do you want to call in? For sure, you'd be welcome. I don't have Stream Deck or StreamYard, but I've got Zoom if you want to do it that way as well. So Kurt, if you do want to call, the burner phone is if you hit ! burner in chat. I'll type it here. Let's see, wait for it. It'll pop up here slowly. There it is. Here's the burner phone number right there if you want to call. I can connect you. Let's see. OnStar didn't prove he killed them. Just an American, I don't think anything proves that he killed them. It's just the reasonable inference is all we can get from that. See, do you mind playing the I or they video? Which one is that, Michelle? The I or they did him so bad? Is that the one? That's the one they played. They slowed down at like 25% speed. It's like, they did him so bad. You know, that one. That to me is that's a tough one. We listened to that high speed and slow speed, and it just didn't work very well. I think it's not incriminating one way or the other. Mr. Owl, thanks for being an addict. Welcome. Let me see if I can get the phone to work here properly. Give me just a minute here. Hey, Kurt, hang on just 1 second as I get you connected. Hey, Kurt, can you hear me?
I can.
All right, and we can hear you as well. Thank you for calling in. How are you doing this fine
Awesome.
Monday?
Awesome. I'm doing fine. The fact the trial is not on, though, gives me a day of relief from whatever this trial has been. I'm planning on going and watching the Timeline Expert on my own channel later as well to see if it convinces me. But I did see like the timelines that people had cobbled together in spreadsheet form from the various evidence that's out there, and it seems very plausible. Just the time frames seem very, very tight, but maybe when he puts it together, maybe it's better.
Yeah. Does it remove reasonable doubt in your mind?
Well, no. I mean, I don't think so. I mean, the thing is, like, we believe that they were alive at 8:50 because that was the last time the sun was locked. 8:49, like 30 seconds or whatever. We'll round up to 8:50. But and he's gone from Moselle at 9:06, so he's got 16 minutes tops, assuming he kills them at 8:50. And it's like in that time frame, he's got to somehow, clean up the crime scene, clean up himself, get rid of the bloody clothes, somehow get rid of the guns, not get blood everywhere.
Yeah.
If he shoves the guns into a tarp or something and shoves them into his car, somehow make sure that none of the blood leaks out and gets all over the back seats or the trunk or
yeah.
It feels like a lot.
The cleanup, you're right. The cleanup to me is almost as implausible as him doing everything he said he did in those 17 seconds, and getting it perfect.
Yeah.
Right, with no drops of blood or no hair or no oops, I touched this, or the shower would have to be the world's fastest shower, and so I admit, to me, it's easier to understand. I think that he was involved and someone else was as well, because if you have help doing that cleanup side, it would be a lot easier. I'm not looking at Eddie right now. I don't know where his phone was. The Tootin guy, man, the guy comes off as like he might be involved as well type thing. He knows too much. He was cashing checks, things like that. But it does seem easier to think that Alex was involved and someone else was as well, and maybe even a different trigger man. I mean, but if he was involved and it was somebody else that did it, should he get convicted here?
Yeah, I mean that's fine. I think that's reasonable, but at that point, to my mind, we're moving into speculative territory because there's not really been any evidence presented of that, nor is there any evidence available of that. So could he have hired someone? Could he have been involved with someone? Could he have done? Does he have knowledge of what's going on? Maybe, but I don't know what evidence you could possibly use to base those conclusions on. It's like, other than, well, it must be true. To my mind, it's reasonable doubt. That's the key question. And I don't know the degree to which the everyman or particularly the jury will bear the distinction in mind. But there is a distinction between believing he did it and believing the state proved beyond reasonable doubt. You can, at least logically, believe that he's the murderer and also believe the state did not prove it beyond reasonable doubt.
Right.
And so it's like, if you want to believe both those things, then okay, that's fine. But we're supposed to, at least in principle, like, did the state prove beyond reasonable doubt? And I just gave you some reasonable doubt. I don't think that he can do the cleanup in the time frame allotted. I don't think that he can get rid of the bloody clothes. I don't think he can avoid getting blood all over inside the car. I don't think that he can wash himself off and not get blood everywhere up inside the house. I don't think that, I don't think a lot of those things.
Yeah.
And also, there's no real clear motive because he seems to have loved his family and they got along, and there's no signs of animus between these people. So
the conclusion is that their family has been cleaning up messes for decades, but this one is just too big.
Just had a super chat come in.
So yeah, no problem. I figured as much. So those are my reasonable doubts, and it's like, well, that's one of the standards. At least I'm supposed to be applying it. So
yeah,
at least for me, I'm a no vote right now.
So I believe that there's a very high probability that this will be a hung jury.
Yeah.
And so, some people will look at this and say he's clearly guilty of something in this, that he was involved. He's lying about so many things. It's just hard to get to the idea that he's not involved and has some guilt and knowledge of what happened before it happened or during, whatever. He is facing 99 financial charges that have a penalty of life in prison without parole, right? And
last I checked, I think it was 106, but who's counting?
Well, I think 7 of them are like IRS charges that are actually lower penalty
than
the other. So 99 lifetime sentences. We've it's almost like we sat through each one of those trials. Has all that?
Yeah. I was particularly losing it. When we were getting into whether the judge would have ordered the motion to quash with respect to the discovery order, for the interrogatories in the boat case. I'm like, how many levels deep inception are we in this at this point?
It was so deep. We've had every trial. We almost had the boat case tried there. It was just ridiculous. But there's a very high likelihood that Alex Murdaugh will spend the rest of his life in prison. I
think that's extremely likely. I think that him getting a life sentence proper out of the financial crime seems implausible. But he's 53, 54.
Yeah.
And so if he gets 30 plus years, which seems very plausible, then he's looking at the rest of his life in prison one way or another, I think, in a realistic fashion. Yeah. So, convict him of that. That sounds fine. I have no problem with that. He seems to have done the financial fraud. There seems to be some evidence of that.
I think there's more on the financial side. I think that we've just sort of scraped into the drug side, whether he was dealing or how he was involved. That's going to be interesting or not interesting, depending on how much you like to go into the weeds there. But I do think we will see convictions on the financial side for sure. But tell me again, you said you're going to go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I lived in South Carolina for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's where I grew up. And so the fact that this is all happening the way it is somehow not surprising. The South Carolina Law Enforcement Division has a reputation, or at least they did 20 years ago, and they seem to have fulfilled that reputation. They have a reputation of being like these big braggadocious, come in and just, I'm the one in charge, and then managing to screw everything up.
Yeah.
So some people have said that this is, rich person privilege, or this is, this is special treatment by SLED, and I'm like, I don't know, man.
This is normal.
SLED has a bit of a reputation. This is kind of consistent with that reputation, so I'm not so sure about that.
Okay, so talking about normal, someone was asking to ask you about what you think about the jury 4-person appointment by the judge. Have you seen that before?
I have not personally seen that, but apparently that's how this particular judge rolls, and if that's how they roll as a matter of standard practice, then okay.
Yeah. The thing that worried me is it sounds like at the end of the judge's note, while he was reading like what they said, right at the end of the discussion with the two sides, he sort of read the note and said, the jury asked if we have to keep this new one or can we keep the old one? I'm like, wait, what have they been doing on their own to decide their own 4-person before they're given the instructions of what to do? I was concerned that there actually might be back discussing this, and why hasn't somebody thrown the mistrial flag at that hint, or at least asked to investigate that a little bit further to see if something had been happening behind the scene.
I missed that note. That's hilarious. They said we already have our own 4-person. That's hilarious.
Yeah, the end of the note said, or can we keep our old one? I was like, you should not have a 4-person at this point. But, we know they already have chosen. The alternates know they're alternates right now. So some courtrooms, obviously, they choose who the alternates are at the end of the trial. But so the people who are deliberating know who it is.
I think it's a superior way to do it personally, is draw the lots at the end.
Yeah.
So that, that everyone is paying equal attention. I think it's a mistake to tell people they're alternates at the beginning. Yeah. Because they're like, well, I'll never get on the jury, and then suddenly you're there and you weren't paying attention the first 3 weeks, and well, that's not good.
Yeah. Well, Kurt, you said you're going to have
the judge also,
a timely guy. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I keep interrupting you when you're trying to ask me something.
You mentioned you were going to have a timeline guy, or you were going to go into the timeline on your show. Is that later today?
Yeah, I think I'm just going to go ahead and just review that witness because I didn't watch him the first time around. Mm-hmm. And, I want to make sure that I'm not giving short shift to the state's case. You know, I want to be as fair as I can, while bearing in mind that, you know, the balance of the scales is not supposed to be even. So fairness in this sense, I think, well, at least for me, it's not supposed to be, you know, I'm not supposed to go into it neutral. I'm supposed to go into it biased for the defense, right? That's the goal, right? Innocent until proven guilty, proof beyond a reasonable doubt, all the rest of it, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm supposed to skew everything in favor of the defendant. So, you know, I will judge it fairly with that benchmark in frame, and then try to assess whether or not, you know, this changes my mind.
Yeah.
I think also, to the extent it does, at least for me, it might be a little bit too little too late, just because they spent so much of the trial to start on tedium and just sort of how much do I really need this spreadsheet expert to tell me every time the photo orientation changed? Was that really necessary? Why do I care?
There's so much stuff that just needs to be disregarded by the jury at this point. And unfortunately, most of what we spend our time on with financial crimes should probably be out the window. That I think they could have. Yeah. Well,
I think the judges opened himself up to appeal on these issues. I mean, appeals are always difficult. They're difficult in criminal cases. The success rate for criminal appeals is, depending on the jurisdiction, but like under 5%. Mm-hmm. So you always have to imagine that they're going to lose. But I think, you know, the judge has opened himself up to some obvious appeal issues. The allowing in the financial stuff is just so broad. There's so much of it. The scope is so wide. It's a little bit hard to justify. And then the judge has said some things in sort of their discussions from the bench about how these things are to be assessed, like Rule 403, whether it's substantially more prejudicial than probative. Mm-hmm. The judge even said at one point, well, that's for the jury to decide. I'm like, no, it's really not.
That is solely your job. That's the one reason you're here, is to determine what evidence the jury gets to hear. They can weigh the facts. You know, they're the trier of the facts, but that's the judge's job for sure. So if you think if there is a conviction, 100% chance of appeal.
I mean, I think the odds of appeal here are better than in your typical case, because I think there's just so much in, you know, that we're letting in so much financial stuff, and we went so deep into the weeds, and the fact that the judge didn't make any attempt to like restrict it or to what I call cabinet, you know, to try to make it smaller. Yeah. Like, okay, let's just talk about this part, or let's just let in this thing. It's like, no, let's let it all in. Let's in all the financial stuff ever.
The judge has an open door policy. It's once there's a crack, he just lets it all in. Yeah. So I you know, I kind of think that we might be on our way to a hung jury. We'll see. The law and crime chat thinks that, you know, that he's guilty and it's a slam dunk guilt. So. Yeah. It's interesting, at least for me, watching how me and my fellow lawyer friends have been reacting to this, because our perceptions of the thing, at least based on the polls of what's been put up, like in law and crime chat, our perception and the public at large perception seem to be vastly different things. So I'm not sure what that says about one thing or the other. Well, you've got some inside knowledge of how the system should work, because you've worked there. And those of us on the outside are just sort of analyzing and looking at and you know, giving the take. But sorry, the laughter. Yeah. My chat has the ability to trigger sounds on my channel. So if it has laughter in the background, it wasn't me that did it. But anyway,
that's okay. Well, I mean, you got a great setup, man. I mean, I was watching you with that Procaster too, man. And nice camera, pod mic, man. You got it all set up, man.
Oh, I'm happy. I'm like a clam in water. This is me.
All right, but I'll let you go so other people can call in. But it was nice talking with you.
Thanks, Kurt. Appreciate you joining. We'll see you.
All right, bye.
Bye. It was nice of Kurt from Uncivil Law to call in, give his take there. He's more. It sounds to me like he's more on the side where the state has not proven the case, and I'll agree that there is some reasonable doubt where it comes to what we think he did. during the cleanup period. Why there's no evidence of blood, why is there not blood all over him, blood in the car, blood in the back of the car? Why is everything missing? Where are the clothes? Where's all it does have some reasonable doubt that, I told you at the beginning, 17 seconds. I don't believe Alex could do everything he said he did in those 17 seconds. But it's also very reasonable to say I don't believe Alex could do everything we say he did in those minutes between the murders and leaving for Alameda. But yeah, thank you very much, Kurt. Appreciate that. Look forward to hearing from your thoughts once you go over the timeline witness on your channel. That's Uncivil Law, by the way, if you want to check that out on YouTube. It's got a great audience. Appreciate him joining us. See, why did he delete his calls? Great question. Some of the calls, Rick, let's see, Nicole Goodman from Goodman Law Firm was talking to us last week and saying she's used this Axiom software that they use to download the data. And some of the calls, when they are connected to Bluetooth in the vehicle, would not be logged the same way as a regular call. So calls that are made from inside his car, like the 911 call was, would not show up the same way on the report. And so it may not have appeared the way they extracted the data, if I understand what Nicole is telling me. And she's used this software and I have not. So I have to just to go by what she's telling me. And I'm an amateur in that realm. So appreciate her information. TBH Llama, thanks for subscribing to the channel. Here we call that admitting to being an addict. Welcome. It will be interesting to get the jury's take on this after. Stu, I wonder if they're going to talk. I really do. Part of the reason why I say that is because this is Murdaugh country. The Murdaughs, the family name is still big there. The family is big there. If I understand right, they had to take the great-grandfather or the grandfather's picture, the Murdaugh's picture, off the courtroom wall in this courtroom before they had the trial, because that's how big the family is in the legal community in South Carolina. The Murdaughs are a huge name. So keep that in mind. Now, after the trial, yeah, Alex Murdaugh may be convicted, maybe found not guilty, whichever way that goes. Maybe hung jury. It could be a bunch of different things, but either way, you've got jurors who then are in this community where the Murdaughs are still big. Are they going to come out and talk bad about the Murdaughs? Are they going to come back and say, "Hey, we should have convicted him, but there was one holdout" type thing? I don't know. I don't know if they'll want to talk at all, or if they just want to say, "I just want to go about my lives and not be involved with this family." I doubt he deleted his calls. iPhone probably overwrote them. Banjo Jones, the way I understand how phones overwrite data, and I've got a lot of things that record. I've got devices here. I've got microphones and everything that have the capability to overwrite existing data. The cameras I use, the wireless microphones, you name it. I've got logs in my computer that record over, and typically they record over the oldest things. And in his phone, we saw that the entries had been deleted from June 4th till about the time of the murders. So we had the stuff before June 4th, but not after. And to me, that doesn't make sense with how phones would naturally overwrite data. Typically, they would write over the oldest first. And so you always have like a fresh log that they call it a rolling log, as it sort of rolls and keeps it current. Rakita's poll was more like 70% not guilty, different crowds. Speaking of other law tubers, because there are quite a few out there, that if you guys didn't watch, those of you who watch Hogue, I saw him live. I believe it was on Friday or Saturday. I don't remember. He wasn't live, but I caught it after the fact. It was so good to see him come back. I know some of you out here are hashtag Team Hogue as well and understand that situation, as he is going through some serious health concerns and working his way back through rehab and everything after a stroke. It was awesome to see that. So if you guys are part of that, so I wanted to shout out to that. I'm cheering him on as well. I hate that juries can talk after trial. It's tacky and cheapens the process, in my opinion. Ivan, at the same time, they got paid crap wages for weeks. Okay. Now I realize their jobs are held. Some jobs, if you've got a really good job, will actually pay you during jury trial. It's not common, but some will. But they got paid crap for weeks and had to sit through a bunch of stuff they didn't volunteer for. I don't fault them if they want to write a book or go on a tell-all show, or I would think that the least they should do is agree to pool the money. because they all had to sit through it, and I don't want one guy, going out and breaking the news, and then all the others there's no interest in their story. So, resentment of the good old boy privilege legacy class is also big here, says Anna Jane. Thal, you're here. Good to have you, Thal. Kelly Harper, you could be covering up for something big like a drug ring. Yeah, and Wendy, although I don't think that is probable, it may be possible. Layering wouldn't work. Blood soaks through. C. Jewel 0422. No people are afraid of that family. I don't know that, C. Jewel, CJ or C. Jewel. The information we have from other court cases and how the police officers responded on scene, how they talked on their body cams, I would say that people are definitely acknowledge the power that family has. I started talking about this before and I got sidetracked, and I apologize, but I started chasing the money a little bit, and I was seeing where did this money go. And one of the things I went to was the open records of political donations made by different individuals, and I found it interesting that Maggie Murdaugh, and I got this tip from one of the viewers here on one of my channels, but I went down and dug the information myself, that Maggie Murdaugh had donated $1,000 to Dick Harpootlian's campaign in 2020. $1,000 is the most in South Carolina that any individual can donate to a political campaign in an election cycle, which puts you at the top of the list of as far as the size of the donors. There were 250 other people who donated $1,000 during that political cycle, and in addition to that, Harpootlian himself donated about $110,000, or I think loaned about $110,000 to his campaign. How that usually works is you loan money to your campaign at the front end, and then as donations come in, you pay yourself back. So it allows you to have cash flow early on in your campaign before you have all your donations in. But it was interesting that was the only time that I could find a record in the open records of Maggie Murdaugh making a political donation, and she made it to Dick Harpootlian, who is now defending her husband in the case of her murder. Didn't find many. I found a few donations by Alex and some by that mentioned the PMPED. I think they gave mostly to Democrat causes, but the company itself, PMPED, donated to both Republican and Democrats quite broadly, as even on the national front. Let's see. Did Maggie Murdaugh and Paul Murdaugh have life insurance? No, Donna. There was no life insurance that could be cashed in. Maggie, though, did have, she has her property and things that are in her name that would pass on to her heir, which recently was changed from her sister to Alex. Paul did have a criminal case against him that could make a civil suit even worse. And once the criminal case got dismissed because he was dead, you can't try someone after they're dead. It doesn't eliminate the civil suit, but it does possibly lessen it. Could it be he prepared ahead of time, covered his truck seat and floor with a tarp, covered himself with something, so all he did was gather everything up, dug a pit to put stuff in, etc. Carol, yes, and I wonder if he was the one spraying the hose. Would that explain why he would have a rain jacket on? If he was the one spraying down, spraying mud, old mud bird nests off the ceiling or something around the dog kennels. But the hose was definitely out and it was running at the time. It clearly wasn't Paul that was using the hose because he was fooling around with the dog in the video. But I don't think it was Maggie either. Recovery Addict's house is a bugged machine. He ain't getting away with nothing. I believe, Jimbo, they did lean Democratic, although the family, I think, donated to both Democratic and Republican causes. And the law firm donated the maximum, I think, like $3,500 to coalition groups of Republicans. And so if you go through the the records of donations, you'll see like $87 were given to like a whole list, like 100 different people, you know, and basically they made a large donation that was split among all the members. And that's common with a lot of businesses, is to donate to both Republicans and Democrats, you know, both sides. It's just, you know, people come up and ask for donations and they give them. Let's see. You traumatized me with murder pictures. I'm going to be sure to milk those book rights. That's awesome content, Lasagna. Yes, I should use a comma. I was saying no one will speak out because people are afraid. Sorry for the confusion. Okay, I think you're right. I don't think that people will speak out, especially the jurors after the fact. Maggie, Alex, and Paul donated $1,000 each. I didn't look up Paul, Dilly Pickles. I'll have to check on Paul. Eileen just sent me a question on the burner phone. It says, with property as big as it is, do you think something is hidden or buried there? That someone, or like a drug dealer, slipped in, killed them, and the phone calls is the decoy for them to get away? Just a thought. Eileen, I really believe that Alex was involved. So I don't think, although I don't have any evidence that anyone else did it, to me it does seem more, well, I wouldn't say more probable, more plausible that someone else assisted him, at least in the cleanup. Running for office is a lucrative business. It is, but it also costs a ton of money, Ivan. What if he did it in the buff, says Life with Gigi? That would explain the hose being left out. He planned it out. He's guilty of sin. I think Paul or Maggie just might have said something like, Alex, aren't you missing something? Hey, bud. It's a little chilly out, isn't it? I don't think that would have happened. I don't think it would have been in the buff. It's easier for me to imagine that he ditched his clothes than... And also, ditched his clothes and took a shower or rinsed off with the hose outside the kennels. He has a towel sitting on the front seat, like a beach towel sitting on the front seat of his car. There's a wet towel there are 2 wet towels in the house and a beach towel in the car. I think at some point he rinsed off. He showered off. I think part of it was out there at the kennels, and I believe that because he did not get blood all over, like in Paul's truck, on the way back. So I think he rinsed off at that time. On the financial side, I truly believe there was a financial fraud going on with other members of his firm. How could they possibly have no awareness? It's mind-blowing. The Murdaugh family's had some interesting history. And I would be surprised if Alex was the first one to cross a gray area, legally speaking. Let's see. Who is paying the legal fees? I'm a puzzlement. The courts have allowed Alec to make a withdrawal from his 401k, like $500,000 or something. He probably owes more than that now. But he probably is going to pay for them out of his retirement accounts, which they'll allow him to pay. And then if he's found guilty, there's a good chance that most of that will be awarded to, other people through different reimbursements for people who are damaged from the cause or from the boat wreck and all the lawsuits and things. I think they'll let him pay his lawyers, though. We'll never have good politicians because the people who be amazing at the job don't want it, and those who do want it are often horrible at it. Mr. Oprah Torso, it sounds like we need you to run. Today's broadcast is a nice surprise. Thank you, Tony. I thought no broadcast till Tuesday. Great to see you, sir. Tony, I've been thinking about the timeline over the weekend, and I thought we need to talk about it because once court starts tomorrow, we won't have time. So I want to do that. I did miss a super chat here during during Kurt's call-in. Let me see if I found it here. Give me a second. I can pull that back up on screen. Let's see. Let's re-trigger this one.
The conclusion is that their family has been cleaning up messes for decades, but this one is just too big.
Okay, so that was I just cleared off the screen. That was from Life with Gigi. Life with Gigi, thank you so much for the generous super chat, by the way. I apologize for not giving you credit there in the moment, but thank you very much for that. Talk bad about Paul. He ditched. Here's also Life with Gigi. He says he ditched his stuff outside
Friday
his
night
parents' house.
flashback. Smiling pile of poo, smiling pile of poo, smiling pile of poo, smiling pile
I've got to turn this down just a little bit. Appropriately, this one is this is from Horse Sheet and Bananas.
I just had to do it. Smiling face with smiling eyes and rosy cheeks, beaming face with smiling eyes, face rolling on the floor, laughing. Awesome show, Scott and Thomas. Thank you, red heart, orange heart, yellow heart, green heart, blue heart, purple heart.
There we go, Horseshoe and Bananas. I appreciate that that coming through. Yeah, we did have some smiling pile of poo come through on our podcast, inaugural podcast. Baseball card curmudgeon says, not much info about the police combing over 2.6 mile Moselle acreage, looking for tips and clues. Yeah, it's so big. It's a marsh. We know that they dove the ponds a little bit, and I think they searched some property around the mom's house as well. But I haven't heard a lot about it. I'd like to see the map. The reading of emojis kills me. Yeah, we might during the podcast we might have to turn off the super chat noise because it throws me off so badly. I love it now when we don't have anything going on. Catatonic, welcome. Love the name and the logo. That looks good. Good to have you here. Thank you. Poll if Alex Murda will take the stand. I can do that. Need to be glamping. Let's see. Quick poll.
Murdaugh's tied to smuggling since the 1980s.
Yeah, I think there was like some like bootlegging stuff that was going on, like a still and law enforcement and them tipping them off. So I think you're absolutely correct on that one, Kimosabi. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so what's our poll about? Alex Murda taking the stand? Okay. Okay, here's our poll right now. I'll put that up and allow you to vote. I want you to vote whether you think he will or think he won't, not whether or not he should. I believe definitely he should not, but and I believe his lawyers will counsel him that way. But whether or not he will, Just American says the investigation was done so poorly. Squirrel. Why does everyone assume he would be covered in blood? We shoot lame sheep from 5 feet away and get no blood splatter on us. Stephen, because of the blood and human material that was all over the room, the sun basically exploded. I don't know how to put that politely, and the spray would have been significant. Not only that, but him returning to the scene, trying to roll his son over, okay, because it exploded up and then his son fell. And so being right there, trying to roll him over and not getting any blood on him, being right there where Maggie is reaching there, she has wounds in the head area and checking for pulse and everything. There had to have been blood somewhere. It is not reasonable to assume that he was able to do all that and not get blood on him. Let's see, I just sent you a text right now, says Michelle Johnson. Let me take a look. Let's see, Michelle says, I listened to a podcast about Murdaugh murders exploring what's hidden. Forensic psychologist Dr. Matthias. Recovery addict. I thought this may interest you if you haven't already heard on YouTube on Friday, 2/17/2023. Very interesting podcast, especially an article, The Train Wreck, that started it all, from the article written in the 1940s, Randolph Murdaugh, that was a Freudian slip. Randolph Murdaugh Sr. killed by a train. Interesting article, Thought Insight. Yeah, the Randolph Murdaugh Sr. in the 1940s, he died after his car rolled in front of a train track right at the last minute. And that always seems suspicious to me. But there's a lot there. I'm gonna look into that after the trial if I have the stomach for it, just depending on how things end. But I'm trying to stay focused on what the jury hears here. He would have at least heard gunshots from the house at the time of death. No mention of that Yeah, Jeannie, the property, it's big, and there are some trees. Let me see if I can show you a picture really quickly. Let's see, Moselle property. I think the best way to show you this is to show you the property listing where this is up for sale. So give me just 1 second to get this off the screen. I'm sorry, that's not what I wanted. That was the dog video again. Okay, this is the listing that I'm bringing up right now of the Moselle property. Okay, and I'll bring your text off just so we can see it a little bit. This is the Moselle property. So, it was listed for $3.9 million. It does show under contract right now. I believe that's still the case. These are more recent pictures of the property, more recent than the Google Earth pictures that we've seen throughout the trial. So here you've got the house itself. It does have trees around it, but not a ton. And it is on one corner of this lot. Skip over here. Beautiful house. Looks great. Nice deck. This is looking.
Every time Weather Watch comes on the show, ice, wave, eggplant, grinning face with squinting eyes.
Thank you, Thal, I think, for that. Appreciate the super chat, man. We'll have to let Weather Watch know. He's working right now. He's actually trying to get some work done. So this house, the shot we're looking at right here on the very bottom of the screen, we're basically hovering in a drone right over the house, looking towards the kennels. So it is a fair distance, and there are some trees that would block the sound. I still think you would be able to hear, even indoors. I still think you'd be able to hear the gunshot across the property. I mean, unless the VIP edition of the Suburban he was in has incredible soundproofing. Even if he were in the car, I think he would hear that gunshot. Those are loud guns. Both the shotgun and the 300 Blackout are loud firearms. William Traciak has admitted to becoming an addict as well. Welcome, William. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. They may be a second-rate Dukes of Hazzard. They be a second-rate Dukes of Hazzard. I missed the first hour. Did the timeline contradict the time he was at his mom's? Could he have done the murders or cover-up when he should have been there? A little miss. It doesn't contradict when he was at his mom's. We know he was there. We have a witness that puts him at his mom's house. She doesn't have like the exact timestamps of when he was there, but had the 15 to 20 minute window. His timeline in his alibi says he was there for like 30 to 40 minutes. The timeline does contradict that. We show that is not correct. But I do believe that the going to his mom's house was part of the cover-up. So probably to remove items and stash them there for later disposal. So if we went back and searched now, I don't think they'd be there. Veronica Reyes says, I think the investigation could have been much better. No dogs, no testing all the vehicles, the mom's house, the main house. Yes, a lot could have been done a lot better. And I think had it been somebody who was not rich and powerful, you wouldn't have had just open gates to allow everyone, family and everybody, to just come in on the property. They would have locked that down, taped it off, and done a better job. If he takes a stand, he's going to get hounded. He would never take that chance. Speaking of that, we're going to go ahead and close the poll here, always on go, to see what you guys think about will he take the stand. So I'm going to go ahead. Looks like we've had all the votes come in. It's not changing anymore, so we end the poll. And here's where we are. Shows 78% say no, 21% say yes, which has surprised me. Where is the slaughterhouse? Let me see if I can show you the picture of the slaughterhouse from this listing here. Let's get rid of the chat so I can see where my mouse is. Okay, so we're going to skip through just a little bit. I believe this is the sunflowers, the dove field. I think that's where they are. Okay, there's a little property. There's the house again, looking over the marshy areas. Okay, slaughterhouse. I think it's back here. I think this is it. More pictures, deer stands, good sight lines, nice water features on the property as well. It's pretty nice. Okay, there's the lean-to. This picture, Maggie's body was just to the right. just on the other side of this doghouse. So this picture of this lean-to. This is the airplane hangar, the big airplane hangar. I'm not sure if you've seen the video, the body cams of the police going through his garbage. They went through the garbage right there at the airplane hangar. So here's the back side. So this would be the kennels over here, or maybe this is the slaughterhouse. Let me see if I can get a different angle. No, they're not giving it to me. Lots of pictures. A little late to buy it if you wanted it. Yeah, I mean, it was up for sale. That might be it right there. Or is this the cabin? That could be the one. Okay. Anyway, that's what we have. Let me see if I have. Do I still have the Faro scan? No. Man, I deleted everything. I thought I'm not going to need that again, and now I need it. Alex taking the stand would be his own undoing. There are so many questions he has to answer that I don't think he has a good answer for, and him trying to lie his way out of it would not look good on the stand. I've seen enough of his bad acting, says Mr. Sangita. Well, Miter Sangia. Thank you, Miter, for being here. Angelina Knox says, good morning. Saw your podcast and very much enjoyed it. Thank you, Angelina. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully the next one will be better. I've got a lot to improve on, so thanks for your kind words, though. Lady Sensei Productions. No proof he pulled the trigger. He could have been standing there. There's no proof he actually pulled the trigger. You're right. It's going to end up down to reasonable inferences by the jury, by circumstantial evidence. Isabel Rennie, my OCD is not letting me answer. I don't know. Alex Murdaugh won't take the stand because nothing good will come from it. Donna, I realize 20% of you think that he will, but the only thing that I think would benefit him is he is able to pull the wool over a lot of people's eyes. He's a people person. He can meet you. He can talk to you. He's like, hey, this is cool. I like the Murdaughs. This is awesome type thing. He is good at doing that. And we've seen this in trial before where we have a defendant who we say, don't take the stand, they'll shred you type thing. Look at Dean Cummings in Arizona. Took the stand and absolutely was incredible, was amazing. It just came across as 100% believable, likable, and then did everything that the defense did. And they were trying to say, here, show me how you held the gun, how you shot him, sort of things. And this was a self-defense case where he fired in self-defense. And everything matched up. And it's like, now it's making sense. Now the way he portrays it, the way he answers each question, the way he clarifies everything, it spells it out. And it was now black and white. It's like, now I can't see anything happening other than the way he explained it. And it does definitely look like self-defense. He was found not guilty. There's a chance that Alex Murdaugh is able to do that with people. That he's able to explain things. First of all, we know he's smart. We know that brain up there, it works. He's able to steal money for years, and not small amounts of money, huge amounts of money, and keep other very smart people completely in the dark about it. So there's a chance that if he does get up on stand, we will be amazed at how good he is and how well he can think things through and his answers and how well it works. Now, if he's lying about everything and he gets up on stand, there's a chance he can get caught. And because, on the fly, thinking on the go, surprise questions, he might walk into a trap. And that's why I think 70% of you are probably right that he won't take the stand. But part of me wants to see it anyway. The defense is doing everything they can to keep Alex Murdaugh from opening his yap. They are. They even tried to, the judge sort of, he ruled against them in a couple objections because the defense was trying to present evidence that would normally come in by the defendant taking the stand and testifying. And so the defense was using it in question form to other witnesses about, what about this type thing? What about this scenario? Is that consistent with this happening? Well, that's not in evidence. It has to be brought into evidence by the defendant. That's the only way they can really get that in. So it would be interesting to see him start talking. I think he won't, but I'd love to see it. Gore, I think, covers the overall material at the scene. Yeah, it was bad. It was very bad. Can't believe the coroner who shows up knows Sled's about to arrive on a murder scene. He's like, I've got to hurry and feel their armpits before they show up. That was funny. Didn't they lose the shirt? Miss Anonymous, are you talking about the shirt that was tested and is now turned purple? They didn't lose it. It just is forensically, it's no longer viable for new tests because they chemically treated the entire thing. So now there's no portion of it that's not treated. A lot of times they'll treat just a section. They'll cut a piece out and treat that. That was one of the pretrial motions the defense had. They had a big issue with. They said, you destroyed the shirt. Our experts can't test it anymore. I think they said he would have had blood on him from touching and turning the bodies over and getting their phones. What I was expecting to come out in the testimony at the end of the prosecution was that they found a blood stain inside Paul's pocket. That blood had been smeared inside. And I might have missed it. If you guys heard that, let me know. But I didn't hear that, and that I thought would have been important because that would indicate that the person reaching for the phone, getting it out of the pocket, meaning it didn't fall out of the pocket first thing, getting it out of the pocket, had blood on their hands when they picked it up. Why wasn't he covered in blood when he turned over Paul? Please show Ari your support. Hit the buttons and do the YouTube-y things. I don't know who came up with that, the YouTube-y things. I think it's actually one of the other channels that focuses on law. It's one of the actual law tubers. This is option number 4, Life with Gigi. It's like just praying that yes, he does. I feel that he is too arrogant to not take the stand. I have the weirdest puppy, says Little Miss. He drops stuff in his water bowl purposefully and then takes it out, drops it on me, and plays with it. It's intentional. Maybe he'll take the stand in the financial case, then spill the beans about the murders. I don't think he'll take the stand in the financial case. It's an open and shut case. Myra's here. Congratulations, Myra, on owning the internet over the weekend. We just re-gifted it this morning. So if you're looking for it and it's not there, it's because we took it and gave it away. Just a tip: if you have a question you would like to answer, like RA to answer, it's easier to tag RA like this. Yes, that does show up. It shows up bright, and so I'm able to see it. Thank you very much, Myra. Tag says, Putin had a great tactic to bring up the financial crimes. Will put him away for life. Yeah, so it's like you can't get there on the murder. You don't have the proof. Don't worry about it. He's going to be in jail for the rest of his life. Now, he's not convicted on those charges. Those are still pending. But to say, yeah, don't get him for this. He'll get his time. He'll get justice. He still might get off on the financial charges. You never know. Wilmington stuff, huh? He relied on the family reputation and connections to go undetected for his crimes for 20 years. I know it was at least 10. I don't know how long. But yes, there was a long period of deception. And I think he probably had assistance in that as well. Maybe even from his father. Anise Brown forgot about the armpit coroner. How can you forget about the armpit? The guy stuck his armpit in Poot's arms. He's like, how'd you do it? Use my armpit. Here, show me. I'm like, this only in South Carolina, maybe. Only in the South would this happen in court. I'm raising my testimony odds to 30%, and he'd be close to the end if they do call him. He would be the last one, I believe, upper torso. The very last one. Did they identify whose wet towels they were? Isabel, are you talking about the towels in the house, the 2 towels in the house? Because I think the location would indicate they were Paul's in his closet, things like that. But there was also that towel that was on the bench or on the seat next to him in the driver's seat of his Suburban. I don't know why nobody's talked about that. He'd be an idiot to testify, says nobody's alt but mine. Love the name. We know the family is still covering up for him because the sister-in-law tried giving him the book, Runaway Jury, for inspiration perhaps. Or why that book? I thought it was a different book. It was still John Grisham, but I think it was something about a judge. Different title. Matthew Harris Law client wants to tell their side. Sounds like a mistake to me. Matthew Harris, did you come in? There you are. I'm a puzzle man. I've sat with my clients for interrogations before because my clients assured me that they were innocent and wanted to tell their side. Clients are the ones who ultimately make the call. And there will be a point in this trial where the judge will turn to the defense, and instead of talking to Jim or Dick, he's going to say, Mr. Murdaugh, have you been advised of your right to testify or to not testify? And he'll question him, and Alex will answer directly to the judge instead of through counsel, and he'll make that decision. And it is entirely his. His lawyers cannot make that decision for him. Taking the stand in federal court is a huge mistake, says Ivan. Emily D. Baker says it all the time. Says what? The YouTube-y things. That might be her. I think they coined that over on her channel, so I don't want to steal that. The giant rat that makes all the rules says, sorry, I fell asleep last time. Thanks to whoever gifted me the membership. It's good to see you in green, giant rat that makes all the rules, and good to have you here. Not a federal court. Federal courts aren't televised. Baseball card curmudgeon. So this is a state court. Didn't he tell 911 they weren't breathing? Why then ask if they were dead? He knew they were there. Yeah, Ivory, that when the cops do show up, he's like, well, have you confirmed? Are you sure they're dead? Has it been confirmed? But you can't survive that. Those shots were lethal. Rockin' Dawkins SC says the phone was probably in Paul's hand and would have had blood on it. Not sure why he tried to put it in the back pocket. I think he couldn't get it in. Probably would have thrown a phone away like Maggie. Who do you think the defense team will have on the stand to convince one juror to say Alec is innocent? Michelle, it's going to be experts. It's going to be experts who have impressive resumes and huge degrees and years of experience and a long list of court cases in many states that they have been ruled as experts, and they're going to come up and they're going to say the exact opposite about the same evidence that the state used. They're going to draw a completely different conclusion and say that is not how the orientation of the phone works, and they're basically going to you're going to have to say, I either believe one or the other, because the two experts that testified disagree. So I have to decide which one is telling the truth. And they'll bring up, I think they'll have probably 6 or so experts like that. So you might have an expert who comes up and testifies about the time of death. I think that would be super for the defense to bring up and say, this only works if this time, it's only Alex if the time of death is 8:50, and you have nothing that says the time of death was 8:50. This could have been 9:30, and suddenly all this doesn't make sense. Yeah, he lied about taking a nap, but he left. He was gone, and then they died, type thing. Emily D. Baker is a law tuber, and she's the one who came up with it. Thank you, Annie Brown. I love her. She's got some cursey words, so just beware. But she has an amazing personality and is incredibly smart. If you're careful, you can avoid blood. I have avoided getting poop on me during many blowouts my babies have had. This is Nem's girl. There's a real life scenario that a blowout can be awful. So maybe the moms on here say, yeah, maybe I can see how he didn't get blood on him, because I've been there with the diaper scene. Peach Pie, love the name. Ivory, he said, Peach Pie Ivory. I think it's just Peach Pie. Ivory, he said not breathing, and he gave 0 aid. CPR during 20-minute wait. There was no CPR possible for Paul. The structure was not there to enable breathing into his lungs, and then the brain was gone. So, it's... could he get the death penalty if convicted? No. The state has decided not to pursue the death penalty in this case. We've got a couple too touchy-feely lawyers in here. If you watch the trial, there are a couple. I think most of them are on the prosecution that seem to just can't keep their hands off the witnesses, and then you had Poot at the same time. Here, stick your hand in my armpit, sort of thing. It's been a lot of touchy-feely, and not us always asking for permission. The thermometer got me. Oh my goodness. The rectal thermometer, which arguably, had he used those tools to determine the actual temperature of the bodies, which is a very valid way of determining the temperature of a body, he could have narrowed that gap, because I think he testified that the murders, this is from the coroner we're talking about, who checked the armpits for the temperature of the bodies and determined that based on how warm they were, they died between 8:30 and 10. That was his, and I think he said, so he's sort of, I think it's about 9 is what he went with. Had he used the thermometer, He could have narrowed that gap down because of how bodies cool down and the ambient temperature and everything else. He could have run some math on it and said it was within these 20 or 30 minutes, which would have been a little more precise. But they didn't do that. Let's see. Chadaskaram says, happy Monday. All happy to be gifted this membership. Love this channel. Thank you very much. I love to see you with the Aqua Courthouse next to your name as well. I appreciate the support. Let's see. Rockin' Doc SC says, if they can explain away Paul's video and his multiple lies about being there a few minutes before murder, then I will change my mind from guilty. Those are hard things to explain away because the video is some hard evidence. I mean, that is his voice. And so many people that knew the family say 100% that's Alec. Who was the housekeeper's son that ended up with $7 million settlement? How was he paid? Probably insurance, I'm thinking. I don't know how he was paid. He has been paid though. The two sons have received their settlement. They made more through not getting paid and then suing him and getting the settlement than had they just got the settlement or just got the paid on the court case initially. These are going to be the best of the best as far as defense experts go. They are, and they're not going to be cheap. I wonder if the state, usually it's a dirty tactic the defense brings up, usually for like a rebuttal expert, how much are you getting paid per hour type thing. I wonder if the state's going to do it because odds are they get paid a significant amount of money to testify. And it's basically just saying, you're just here for the money. Tomorrow's going to be awesome. Seriously. If you guys have not watched the trial to this point and you're sort of got up to speed, start watching tomorrow. Join us at 9 o'clock in the morning. We do this every day. We're going to be live streaming the trial and just going through all the actions the defense is starting to lay out their case. They've had two, they call them two short witnesses, but I think the experts start on Monday or on Tuesday, and it's going to be awesome. Let's see. Remember, turn on gift membership. You never know. Yeah, if you do turn on the settings, we have some very generous members that gift memberships frequently. So if you want to be a member and that's not in the budget for you, that's the best way to possibly become a member. My tinfoil hat theory. They were trying to pass him the juror by John Grisham to signal to Alex that the fix is in. I think they would have other ways to do that if they were. But I don't think it was the juror. I thought it was a different book. Somebody has to check me on that. Matthew Harris says, 2 uncivil law. I rarely do criminal work, but I do a lot of CPS defense. In those cases, it's nearly impossible to avoid the client speaking with CPS, but fortunately, CPS investigators aren't experienced. CPS being Child Protective Services. So more family law stuff from Matthew Harris. Recover addict. Did armpit doctor use a thermometer under the arm like we do for children? No, he says, Rosie, he testified that he knew sled was coming, so he had to hurry. And he went inside the feed room where all the matter was. He just tried not to step on anything. And he just checked them. He lifted Paul's arm a little bit and did the whole armpit thing. But and then he did that before sled showed up. If Alec Murdaugh is broke, how's he paying for this trial and the others coming? Carol, this one is from retirement accounts that he's been allowed to withdraw money for. Why didn't the coroner take the victims' bodies to his office and take the thermometer on their foreheads? Well, because of the crime scene, it has to be investigated. He can't just steal the bodies before the investigators show up. Right now, we're relying on cell phone activity to prove a pretty tight time of death, and I'm just not convinced that's proof just yet, says Mr. Oprah Torso. Money just dropped. Amanda Armstrong gave a $2 super chat. Amanda, let me know if you've got a question or something to answer. I'm trying to answer everyone's questions, and honestly, you don't need to give a super chat to ask a question. It helps if you tag me with your name if you have one. But you don't even have to be a member. So anything you guys bring up, I want to answer your questions here. I think maybe his partners made the sons whole because insurance, for the most part, doesn't cover fraud. Wasn't there like an umbrella policy of some sort that would have covered that? Grumpy Cat says, Recovery Addict, did they say how far Maggie's phone was from the road? No, but it was well within throwing distance. I think it was I think it was like 15 to 30 feet. But no, yes, they did. There was a witness who testified that he could throw the phone that far. And on cross-examination, they're like, "Do you really think you'd be able to throw this phone?" He's like, "Yeah, any day of the week." So we'd have to go back and hear what the distance was, but it was near the road. Oh, Amanda, I see a super sticker. Apparently, is what it is. I don't know why the voice didn't say anything, but thank you for that. Verity Davidson said, "Just found your channel. We'll watch with you tomorrow. I'm so confused by this trial." Verity, thank you for finding us. Appreciate it. We have a great little community here. It's fun. We keep it quite civil. So we try not to have any politics. Our little slogan is "Pickles, not politics." So we try to just focus on the crime scene, and you'll find out you're watching with friends. It's a great place to watch. What a contaminated mess the scene was. All those people tromping around. Yes. There were so many people at the scene, and the fact that it was they treated it differently because of who it was. It pretty much just made a lot of evidence disappear. What is your opinion on the investigator lying to the grand jury? Don, this is great. About the way the gun was loaded, I believe. Could this be damaging on appeal? Thanks. I think that investigator could be facing charges of his own or possibly be out of a job. Lying to the grand jury is not a small thing. Unfortunately, I think we've seen a lot of trials where the facts are not quite in there. They say, "Here's what we think happened," and they sort of embellish a little bit or something. But this sounds like he just flat out just created facts out of thin air that weren't facts. They were fiction, and presented them to the grand jury as if they were facts to give them reason to charge. I don't know if that would affect the appeal at all. I think it would affect the investigator more. Let's see. Anything he testified to as well is, are you going to believe that? Okay. Clear up Alex's statement. Did he try to turn Paul over or did he turn him over? Red Finch, he says he tried to turn Paul over, but we know that his hands were underneath his body. And it would be very difficult to get them to stay under there if he did turn him over. I think he tried to turn him over, and I think he said he tried to turn him over, and the phone fell out of the pocket. And so he stopped at that point. Keith Freeland, thanks for becoming an addict. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. Welcome. It's good to have you here. Looks like when Alex Murdaugh's fraud was discovered, the law firm themselves paid off all outstanding clients. They went after Alex Murdaugh for their tab. Lots of lawsuits. A couple people are, let's see, M. Lepreux has admitted, and Pretty Accountant has admitted to becoming an addict as well. Thank you for subscribing. Faux forever. Never put a thermometer in your mouth. You never know where it's been before. This has to do with the coroner. Obviously, he was talking about using a rectal thermometer, and Harpootlian said to him, "Do you carry a thermometer with you just for this?" And he's like, "No, I usually just borrow one from the ambulance." I'm like, "Borrow? That means you return it afterwards, right?" And the ambulance they just stick it back in the. I don't know. Don't get hurt, and have your temperature need to be taken in South Carolina. What other cases are coming up? Sarah Boone. We have to talk about Sarah Boone, Veronica Reyes. Sarah Boone's going to be a fun one, a really fun one. It's slated for April, and unfortunately, I think it might push a little bit. But that is a big one we want to follow as well. What does SLED mean? SLED actually stands for South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. So the C is dropped, so it's SLED, South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. A lot of people, it's basically like state police. Some places have like a highway patrol or something. South Carolina has this SLED team, and it's like they cover a lot of areas where locally they just don't have the resources to handle a big event like this one. Do we live stream the trial? Yes, we do, with commentary. So if you just want to hear the trial and don't want to hear anything else, my channel probably wouldn't be the best one for you. We try to limit it so we don't talk over all the important stuff, but we do chat and talk with as it goes. Welcome to the chat. You stumbled across a great channel and chat group. Super friendly people here. Thank you, Matthew Harris. He's our resident legal expert all the way from Texas. Appreciate you, Matthew. Thanks for being here. I think he threw her phone away because he couldn't open it to delete her history. Running Grey Wolf, he had access to her phone, I thought. That's the one he could get into because he gave her the password. Rockin' Dawkins, welcome to the gallery. Thank you for becoming a member. Appreciate it. One of the benefits of being a member, Rockin' Dawkins, is you can type !seat in chat, and it gets you to a front row seat reserved. You can move up to the front. The view is great up there. So please take your seat. I appreciate the support. Have you received any more letters from inmate Sarah? No, we have not. Not yet. There have been some updates on her case. They're not huge. Basically, the court has granted the $10,000, basically allotment that they're going to pay to an investigator who's looking into the battered wife aspect of this trial. So that's gonna be moving forward, and we'll see how that goes. But there's really, I think that will actually delay the trial.
700 watching and 254 thumbs up. Hit that thumbs.
Thanks, Lal. Appreciate it. It's good to have you all here. I'm trying to answer all the questions I can. Paula Brown says, recovery addict. I was thinking Paul had blood inside his pocket, so I thought Alex Murda actually removed it from his pocket. Yes. Paula, that's what we heard was going to be testimony. I don't remember that coming out. I don't remember that question coming out. I don't remember any witness specifically saying we detect, when we analyzed his pants, we saw that there was a blood stain inside the pants that had seeped through to the outside or something. I don't know how they could do that. And maybe the how that worked was, too difficult to prove. But at some point I heard that we were going to hear there was blood inside his pocket, which would mean you've got a bloody hand trying to get the phone out of the pocket. Hate to say this, but I hope Sarah Boone is postponed because I will be in Idaho for Valo Daybell. Kathy, you're going to be in Idaho for Valo Daybell. We'll need to get some information from you. That particular trial, although it's got tons of interest, currently the judge is not allowing it to be live streamed. We are hearing the audio at the end of day after the fact, which just to me means why not just allow it to be live streamed? Why don't we get to just hear everything live as it happens? But Eyedropper trial is coming soon. I thought we already had a jury picked out for that one, Rick. That's going to be in Judge Doro's courtroom, and that's a death by eye drops. Interesting case where a friend basically poisoned another friend using Visine, massive amounts of Visine in a drink. It wasn't like administered in the eye, but Visine is not to be ingested that way, and it can cause death, which in this case it did. Heather Anka, thank you for becoming an addict as well. Kate Pastana and Rockin' Dawkins, please take your seat. When will the next podcast be with you and Thomas? We're going to do it on Friday, I believe. I'll have to talk to him to see if we need to adjust the schedule. We've heard a lot of people who can't make it during that time, but I'll talk to him. Right now it's 9 p.m. on Friday. Not a Drama Llama says, hello, friends. I'm so late. I thought we weren't meeting today. What a wonderful surprise. Not a Drama Llama. Go ahead and type !late in chat just so everyone can see how late you are. We want to see the math there. Sled works closely with their sister force in Canada, Toboggan. Sled and Toboggan. Funny, Jim Bob. For facial recognition, wouldn't it take a pic of the person trying to break into that phone? Donna, it doesn't. And this is the thing. One of the aspects, and you're talking about an iPhone here, one of the things that the iPhone really bragged about having was the security on the facial recognition, and that none of the data, like the facial scan, actually goes up to the carrier, and it's all stored locally. It uses LiDAR and things like that to scan several 1,000 points on the face to detect similarities. It doesn't actually take a picture and say, here's the person who unlocked the phone. I think they designed it that way intentionally, but the only thing we can see is that in some of the logs it shows that the camera was activated briefly, and it does use the camera to do that. When he said borrow the thermometer, I fainted. Lynn, I just about died when I heard that as well. Thal paid to put up a billboard. What do you think that the Valo Daybell will go forward? Do you think that will be severed? I think it will go forward. Let's see. Kathy just sent me a question as well. Can I post the address for letters to Judge Boyce asking him to reconsider the cameras? Yes, Kathy. Let me make you a temporary mod. I'll take it away here in just a minute, but let me find a chat for you. What she's talking about is in the Valo Daybell case. The judge has ruled that they aren't going to allow cameras, and we're trying to. There's a groundswell effort. Kathy, I'm trying to find a chat. You drop something in chat one more time, Kathy, and I'll catch you. There's a groundswell effort to reach out and say, please reconsider. Judges shouldn't make decisions based on politics, but at the same time, we would really like them to reconsider so that this case is open. I found you. I've got you here. Let's see. I'm going to make a moderator. So Kathy, you can post that. Once you post it, I'll just remove the rights again, if that's all right. Okay. Do you think Alex owed a lot of money to a drug dealer or the mafia, so they killed wife and son? That's a possible but not probable in my book, Nancy, because Alex could come up with money. He had the ability to come up with money regularly. And I don't think the drug dealers or mafia, if there was any involvement, would have inside knowledge of what his financial situation is at that point and know that he would not be able to come up with money this time, as opposed to all the other times where he came up with money when he needed it. Forever says, I like your commentary. I feel Latu was too biased toward the defendant. I will say this. Yes, we are pretty middle of the road as far as that goes, but I like that lawyers are biased toward the defendant, because one day I just might be one. And I sure want a lawyer who's
Don't
biased.
have Weather Watch and Matthew Harris Law on camera at the same time, or we will die in the flood.
Weather Watch and Matthew Harris. One day we will, Thal. We'll prove that they are two different people. I actually have a photograph of them together, so I know they're two different people. But yeah, they're great. Thank you, Thal. Love the humor. So yes, I will acknowledge that a lot of LawTube is seems to be strongly in favor of a defendant, and specifically what we heard from Kurt today, and I like this. It's true. It's a fact. It's that the state has the burden of proof, and the state has to prove someone is guilty. We should not put someone in jail if the state has not proven that they are guilty, and that's basically legal training will get you to that point, and hammer that fact into your brain. And so that's what you see there. But I really like their commentary. I think there's a pretty good mix out there as well. I don't think Alex Murdaugh would kill his family over fraud or divorce, but I do think those criminal involuntary death charges were a lot more serious. Moves motive into mercy killing territory for me. The book title was about the judge. I think, Cindy, you're talking about the John Grisham book that was passed up from Buster to somebody else to a paralegal to give to Alex Murdaugh. The sheriff confiscated it. Visine is scary. Now every time I put some in my eyes, my blood pressure goes up and I think I might die for 2 minutes. But we need it, right? Phone and vehicle data will nail him, says Grace and Peace. That's Grace and Peace. I'll go back to this just a little bit because we opened this before a lot of you guys were here. We talked a little bit about this timeline. And the thing that really stands out to me is the 17 seconds between when he pulls up to the kennels, basically the hangar and the kennels, the area where his wife and son are dead on the ground. We believe it's reasonable to infer that he pulled up in a position with his vehicle so that the lights were on both bodies. Okay, so he then gets out of his car and start the stopwatch. He puts it in park. That starts the stopwatch. He gets out of his car. He walks the furthest over to the kennels where Paul is and checks Paul's body first. He at some point tries to roll him over, and as he's doing that, the phone comes out of his pocket. He picks it up. He says he tried to fiddle with it, thought better of it, set it on his body, checks Paul for a pulse. Okay, how long do you check for a pulse? At least a second. 1, 2, nothing, right? Then goes over, we don't know if he walks or ran, over to Maggie, checks her also for a pulse. 1, 2, and there you realize they're like, 30, 40 feet apart, the two bodies. Then goes back to his vehicle because the 911 call was made from inside his vehicle on Bluetooth. His phone was connected to Bluetooth, which used the microphone and the speakers inside the vehicle to talk. He couldn't have done this. He couldn't be talking to the 911 operator while he's over at Paul's body. It doesn't work that way. So all that happened in 17 seconds. And you could, he's telling them he's already checked. He's telling them what happened. He's already been over, checked the bodies and things. we know that he did go over to the bodies because the phone was on Paul's back pocket. It was sitting balanced on his butt. That's not a place where phones land when you fall to the ground. They don't bounce off the ground and land on your butt on top of you. It just that's not probable. So you have to look at all those facts and say, can he get out of the vehicle, go check the two bodies in a shock state? Because this is like first he knows, right? The first thing he ever discovered is, holy cow, wife and son are dead, right? And he's running over there. Even if he's running, he's checking pulses, turning the body. Out pops the phone, picks it up, fiddles with it, sets it back down, runs over, checks the other body. 17 seconds. The guy had to be the Flash to make that happen, and then run back to the car and call 911. So it's not adding up for me. Husband and Wife Gaming and Martin Kopik, thanks for subscribing to the channel. I appreciate you guys being here. We go live every weekday at 9 a.m. when court's in session, so we'll be following that. I hope you can join us on the live stream tomorrow. Pretty Accountant says, there was a CSI episode with the Visine plot line. That'll be a fun trial to watch in Judge Sherrill's courtroom, just because I like her as a judge. I think she's pretty fair. She's very patient. We saw that with Daryl Brooks. But it'll be interesting to see a trial that doesn't have the all the Admiralty Court subject matter jurisdiction. That's not my name. Mixed into it. Sharon McDonald says, recovery addict. Don't know if this has been said before, but Alex Murdaugh tested positive for hard drugs after a roadside shooting. I don't know. I didn't think that was brought in. I'm not sure if the jury has heard that. Nicole says, South Carolina law enforcement are corrupt. I think, Nicole, there's I wouldn't say that the evidence has been presented that they are corrupt. I do think the evidence was presented that they were inept or possibly treated this incident differently than another similar type incident. Forever in Blue says, recovery addict. Thal suggested a demo of the... Why did I click on this one? A demo of the rectal thermometer would have been more entertaining than the armpit demo. I'm glad we didn't go there, Thal. But apparently, the armpit was bad enough. Just checking the Poot's temperature. I wonder, honestly, if the coroner couldn't give us a reading on Poot, Harpootlian's life status based on the temperature he detected in his armpit. Welcome to your new addiction, says Methateri. It's a friendly group here. I think you'll like being here. Every single issue, says, this is Alpaca Renee, every single issue that makes it look like Sled dropped the ball can be attributed to the political clout of the Murdaugh machine. That's a strong undercurrent that we're seeing as we look at this. He got special treatment, period, Chow says. Lisa B., good morning. I just learned that right after the boating accident, Paul called his grandfather on the way to the hospital, not his parents. Yes. Lisa, I believe the grandfather had a lot of political clout. He was sort of a fixer. He could call people and make things happen. Lil Miss, I would not give out the email to the judge unless the judge has opened that up to the public. We don't want to flood the judge's email address if it's just his work address or her work address. Grumpy Cat, who is the worst witness so far? Owens, Investigator Owens, in my opinion. And now I will say that I've heard that his mom actually passed away like 2 days before he testified. I don't know if that's the fact, but he just seemed to have no grasp of the facts as they related to the case. His testimony was not consistent with all the other crime scene experts and the people that did things, and he was all over the place. Isabella says 100% he has money stashed, in my opinion. I think he still has some money available. Okay. Dealers aren't worried about him getting the money. They stated that in court. This may be a really unpopular view. I love these. Let's see what it is. But I'm really struggling that he could kill his son. Thief, liar, manipulator, yes. Kill for his family. Wouldn't be surprised, but not convinced on killing his own. Verity, I agree that, and to this extent, when Alex Murdaugh shows emotion about his son and how he died and just the whole, every time Paul's brought up, I believe a lot of what we're seeing is real emotion. I believe that is not him forcing himself to cry. I believe that is coming naturally. That's how he feels about his son being gone. But I can't get over the fact that I believe he at one point later was able to come to the conclusion that life would be better, or for people if someone was dead. In that case, it was himself. I think that a mercy killing, like, I can't believe my family's going to be drugged through what they are about to be drugged through type thing. Then it would be better if we were all dead, or if they were dead, so they wouldn't have to go through this. I believe that could be the reason. No security system cameras at his property. Kevin, this is my everybody has security camera systems that has hunting property. They either have a sensor at the gate, they have some sort of camera, they have game cameras everywhere. Because you want to see what deer are there. You want to see what people are there. You want to make sure nobody's coming in your property and shooting your animals. So I think there were probably some game cameras at some point somewhere, but law enforcement was not able to locate any. They questioned Alec about outstanding debt to drug dealers, and it was a negatory. Well, that's because he was able to write him a check, right? He wrote checks for his drug dealers. Mr. Operatorsa says, think about it. If he's buying $50K worth of drugs a week and he isn't doing them himself, he's definitely selling them. He's not just giving them away. Any profits from that cash can be hidden. He ran a cash enterprise. You could make a ton of money turning that photo of Thomas and Matthew into posters. I don't think they've given me permission to do that. Let's see. Who would write checks to purchase drugs, says Michelle Johnson. I didn't know that was an option. I mean, not that I'm in the market, but I didn't know you could buy drugs with checks. Rockin' Dawkins says, I've served on South Carolina juries. They don't care what the law says. They have their own sense of justice. However, they don't like to convict either. We'll see what happens here. Petra says, I came into this trial sure he was guilty. Now I really don't know what to think. Petra, that's why, I think it's so likely that there will be a hung jury here. Victoria says, say he's found not guilty. What next? Case closed? Yes. The states, you can't, double jeopardy means you can't be charged for the same crime again. They might come find some other evidence and find, actually, there was, this conspiracy to commit murder. That's a different charge. It's actually, we found, and it would be hard for them to explain because suddenly all their facts have to change, right? If they find another gunman and that he was paid by Alex, we've got the receipts and the timestamp, and we've got video of him exchanging the money and handing him the gun. Yeah, this is new evidence that would justify a new trial, and that could happen. Odds are that's not going to happen. If we don't have the evidence now, we probably won't get it in the future. So in this case, if he's found not guilty, he walks on this one. But, legally, he would be not guilty. The system found him not guilty of these murders. He still has 106 financial crimes, 7 of them IRS charges about taxes that he is facing, and some of them carry, like 99 of them carry a maximum penalty of life in prison without parole. Vermillionaire says, our justice system demands your bias towards the defendant. Society has forgot that it's innocent until proven guilty. We treat everyone as guilty until proven innocent. Hence, jail before trial. Our justice system allows people to be arrested pending a trial. And that's where bond comes in. You're allowed to, generally they set a bond based on, there's probable cause that you were the person. So we can't just say, hey, we think you're it. We're going to go ahead and hold this whole trial and just please don't leave, right? So we hold them in custody until that point. But usually they get bond. Alex Murdaugh's in no bond right now, I believe. If he's acquitted of murder, you can try him again. You can't try him again. That would violate the rules of double jeopardy. Yeah, these charges will not be brought up again if he's acquitted. The state doesn't get to appeal on a non-acquittal either. Okay. Doro alert. Remember, the first runoff for the Wisconsin Supreme Court is tomorrow. Jennifer Doro is running. The 2 top vote getters will go on for the final election April 4th. We've got to finish the eyedropper case before April 4th. It cannot be pushed off. We want to see that trial. Kayla Sparks, thanks for becoming a subscriber. Thank you very much. Welcome, by the way. Let's see who else has questions I can answer here. Yeah, Nurgle, no way on the 17 seconds. I agree. It does not say that he killed him. 17 seconds, him lying about that, it doesn't prove that he killed him, but it sure does mean that he probably knew what was going on and was involved in some way. Is that enough for a conviction? Reasonable inference? I don't know. What's the jury going to do? Patricia says, and that breakdown is the only way he is innocent, and there's Maggie's blood in the car. There was like one drop of her blood, right? And as much as we wanted blood all over his shirt and everything else for a conviction, we want to have that solid evidence. I was actually pleased that there was some blood found in the car. Because he said he went up and checked her pulse, and that could have put blood on him, and then some blood could have gotten in the car from that. Had there been blood smeared all over the place, that would have, looked different. But one drop of blood for me, that could go to the weight of the evidence that he actually did go up and check her pulse type thing. It is an evidence that all of the cell data is an overview of an estimate. I think some of it, Douglas. I think specifically the steps and the distance traveled is all estimate. And to me, that is almost garbage data. If it's not something that you can timestamp and authenticate, it's garbage. We know that he moved, 253 steps in this window of time, but we don't know when he started or when he stopped or how fast he was going during it. We know it's approximately this much movement. It is garbage data. I think we can use it as we look at the timeline of other things and say, does this match up? And yes, this seems plausible, but as data on its own to prove something happened, it's garbage. Why would he check the phone before the pulse? Cindy Smith, I know that in a stressful situation, people do weird things and don't think clearly. So it does seem strange, though, that especially with his reaction we have now about Paul that we see in court every time Paul's death is brought up and is described. It seems strange that he would run to his body and grab his phone. That does seem strange, not consistent with Alec's other behavior. He's getting life. Only question is federal or state facilities as a crook or as a killer. The defense is saying don't convict him because he gets life for financials. Then they will try to beat the financial charges. Yes, Ed, they will. Just remove some of the possibilities. Please take a minute and send a letter to Judge. Here's Kathy. Thank you very much for this. To Judge Boyce regarding cameras for the Vallow Daybell at the address above. And where was that address? Let me see. It's up here somewhere. I missed it. Very appreciated by me and the family of JJ and Charles. I do hope they reverse that decision and allow cameras. It was so telling he mocked senior special agent's name. That was Dick Harpootlian who did that, right? He was like, "You're a special agent, right? Senior special agent." That was a little too much for me. He shouldn't badger the witness that way. Alex Murdaugh is not very well liked among the general populace. I would not want him to be convicted because he's a donkey. Back into the left says, recover addict. He hired hitmen like Cousin Eddie. That's also plausible. Darcy's Kitten says, and wiped off his hands. His phone was clean, so he had to wipe off his hands before he called 911. I think if I came across that scene of dead loved ones tending to their cell phone is not a thought of mine. Grumpy Cat says, what are your thoughts about the defense using the 20-second timer in court? Effective. Very good. And anytime you're watching the second hand move on a clock, it moves slower. So him standing there to say, I want you to stop. I'm going to start the counter and then stop. And we're going to sit there for 20 seconds and hold your breath, basically, is what he wanted people to do. He wants the jury to be, this is how long it took, and everyone holds their breath instinctively. It's like, oh man, this is taking forever. This is a long time. It's a very effective thing that he did. And I thought it was brilliant on the defense part. It was also brilliant of them to be able to get the witness to say it was 20 seconds when it was actually 17. And to round up, to give you that extra 3 seconds, that helps a ton. What the state could have done in cross is to have those same 20 seconds and do something in court, walk over here, walk over there and back and say that was 20 seconds. what just happened, what those things that you just saw me do that seemed like just a moment, that was 20 seconds, and they could have shown it that way. Let's see. Twisted Branches is here. Welcome. Good to have you here, Twisted Branches. I saw the picture you sent of the Twisted Branches, by the way, makes copper wrapped or copper wound like bonsai trees and stuff. Amazing stuff. Great artist. Let's see. We have MCAT just gifted a membership. So hopefully you had your membership setting turned on, your gift setting turned on, because Alpaca Renee was gifted the membership. Thank you very much, MCAT, and appreciate your generosity. All through the podcast as well. Appreciate that. You posted it one more time. Thank you, Kathy. Appreciate that. There's the address to write to get the court to consider changing. So please consider doing that. If you want to watch the Lori Vallow Daybell case, that would be awesome. Let's see. Back to the left. Subpoena to the CIA for satellite pics. That gets in the tinfoil hat region, back to the left. Yes, we do have all sorts of spy satellites that monitor our own country. We're aware of that, but odds are it's probably not focused enough within the right time frame to find details about what happened during the murders. I think cell towers are probably your best bet there, subpoenaing all the data from a cell tower to find who was in the area. A lot like what we saw here in North Carolina when they had somebody had shot at the power station and taken out the power in a county for several days. They went back with a warrant and basically said, we want all the data of all the phones that were in this area at this time. And they can do that. So that would, I think, be more useful. Okay. Please wish True Celtic Mutt happy birthday today. It is his birthday. 5 bags of popcorn, love the name, says, can't they just dismiss this based on he's very rich and very white? No, they shouldn't do that. What happens if while in prison for the financial crimes, he starts talking about the murders? Can he be charged then? It would have to be new evidence, and I don't know what the standard is on how much new evidence. It would basically be equivalent to somebody just, being found not guilty and then saying, I beat it. I actually did it. Told you so. And, you've got a new confession. Maybe that's enough. But that new evidence, you might recant that confession, or the person who it's coming through might be a convicted liar or thief or something that maybe not as believable. Would the state try to retry again just based on that? Don Hagerman says, recovery addict, I think the attempted suicide was actually a diversion to make people think there was someone after the family. Then he came up with a lie, the suicide, when the cops invest. Don, he said he used like a 38 caliber in that attempted hitman roadside incident. If it was a 38 caliber, there is no way I can see that being here's what we'll do. We'll pretend just graze me in the head type thing. No. There is no room for error. Graze me in the head means a millimeter down, and that bullet suddenly penetrates the skull, and it's soup. I believe that actually, if it was a hitman attempted suicide, I believe it was for the goal to end his life. But I don't believe that it was a diversion. I mean, I don't believe he expected to live through that. Let's see. Who else do we have here? Little Mayanna, welcome. Thank you for subscribing, as well as Joy Today 75. Welcome as well. Do you think Buster will take the stand? Grumpy Cat, he is on the list. Obviously, the state's done, so they're not going to call him. It would be for the defense, and if he is, it would be like a character-type witness, I think. He wasn't present at the time, so I don't know how he could testify to anything other than character-type matters, because he was out of the city, basically. He was not present for any of this. Maybe some of the after. I think he did come to the house eventually. But let's see. This the temperature gathering is important. The work that a coroner does. I'm surprised they didn't do it, actually. Going to take advantage of the ability to post the address for Judge Boyce one more time. Okay, do it. There it is. I'm going to go ahead and pull it down now. I appreciate you, by the way, Kathy. Thank you so much for posting that. Okay, he's in protective custody while in jail. Let's see, anybody else? I found it interesting that the hit and run and the housekeeper will be reopened. Michelle, we haven't heard a lot of details as to what they found during this investigation that causes those cases to be open, both the Stephen Smith and the housekeeper case. But yes, the fact that people died around the Murdaughs suspiciously is not overlooked. Douglas says, cell data is demonstrably unreliable. The last guy who testified for the state said his work was based on an overview of estimates. I think that portion, though, was specific to the walking, Douglas. That wasn't referring to timestamps of events on the phone. It was more the phone tracking the movement, that walking that's taking place. It's like a pedometer. My phone, I'll sit here in this chair for, as you know, for quite a few hours every day. And usually halfway through the day, while I'm sitting here, my watch will go off and say, congratulations, you reached your stand goal for the day. I haven't been standing, right? But I've moved in a way that the phone thought, oh, that was a step, that was a stand, things like that. So yes, that is very unreliable. But I believe the call stamp, the timestamps of when calls were made or when applications were opened or the camera was activated, I believe those are highly reliable. I think he was putting money through that fake Forge account, and he certainly wasn't using $50K a week in drugs for himself. And I don't know anyone who pays dealers checks. Let's see. There's an easier to read timeline on Discord. Yeah, let me shout out to Discord. For those of you who are new, who haven't been here, we have a great partnership with Little Miss and Toxic Orchid here in chat. They have a Discord page called As the Gavel Drops, and they have gathered everything. It's a document dump site. It's a site where you can ask questions and talk and look up calendaring events if you want to see what trials are coming up next and what's happening, news stories about different trials. As the Gavel Drops, if you type !Discord in chat at any time we're live, that email or that address will pop up for Discord, and you can jump over there. They are phenomenal. I will say that if you go over there and you love what you see, if it's an asset to you, please go ahead and consider boosting the channel over there. That helps them be able to post more things, helps them be able to have the chat rooms open, and just have more room for storage. So if you're into Discord and like true crime, please go check out their Discord channel. And thanks to all of you over there, Amber, Vixen, who the document hounds over there that do such great work. Thal says, recovery addict, you're still ignoring the obvious suspects. The dogs. They had motive, and the rooster making fun of them. And they had to be re-locked in their kennels. I don't think the dogs did it, Thal, although one of them was out. I think one of the dogs, it was probably Bubba, was out that got put in the wrong kennel. Somebody put it in the kennel, and I think it was Alex. Eddie wouldn't want to off his $50K a week meal ticket. It makes more sense that Alec tried to off him to tie up the loose ends. And then they struggled over the gun. It's kind of funny that people in the low country hit what they shoot while Cousin Hezzy missed the whole head. It makes Eddie the worst shot in the region. Catherine Peterson says, the phone doesn't have to be in the car to connect. My car connects to the phone while car is in garage and phone is inside 30 feet away. You're right, Catherine. It does connect that way, but the voice, the speaker, and the microphone in the car were active. So the phone call was picking up audio from inside the car and playing audio inside the car, not on the phone. So if I connect my Bluetooth headphones to my phone and make a call, the sound is coming through my headphones, and the microphone's on my headphones. So he could have been connected to Bluetooth in the car while walking out there. But if that connection's active, which it shows it was, they wouldn't have been able to hear him talk on the 911 call. For all his wealth, I missed it. For all his wealth and power, when I hear Alex speaking, I just can't help thinking he doesn't sound very bright. I think he's pretty smart. He's got a southern drawl, which to some people sounds less sophisticated, I guess I could say. But I think he's actually a pretty smart cookie. Kath says, Cousin Eddie is a big old can of worms. I'm sort of glad they didn't bring him up. And Kath, as last week was sort of, as we were moving towards the end of the prosecution portion of the trial, it was interesting to see how many times the defense opened the door with Cousin Eddie. and I think that they wanted the state to call him. I think they were goading the state into calling him. That's why they opened the door so many times. The state did not call him, probably because it would have just been another layer of confusion that is more than we want to deal with. Bubba is innocent. He's a good boy. Justice for Bubba. Love the hashtag. If only Bubba could talk. Yeah, if Bubba was like Lassie, Kath, this would be solved already. You'd be like, what is it? What is it, Bubba? Who did it? That Alex right there? Vicky, thanks for becoming an addict. Thanks for subscribing. Welcome to the group. Good to have you here. Would have liked if the dogs could talk. Case solved. Trust you had a good weekend. I had a great weekend, Matthew. Thank you. Got some metal detecting done. Found some cool little relics for a family member of that belonged to his ancestors. In addition to a Chinese coin that was really cool. Enjoyed that. Let's see. I mean, he might be. The prosecution hasn't filled the holes in the story most of all. There are several holes, Isabel. The gun that was used to shoot Alex was never recovered. The bullet was never recovered. We have to go off based off Alex's account. Okay, so and he's yes, and I think the medics on the scene basically said it was a very small caliber bullet, so it could have been .22. I don't know if there was any stippling. If there was no stippling, if there was no gunpowder, there was nothing, I would not be surprised to say this could have been an air rifle or an air gun, which you can get in .22 caliber. And they are powerful. They're enough to damage, just skim your head. And it would be much safer to stage something like that and be convinced that the outcome would not be fatal with an air rifle than with a firearm. If you watch the state's last witness, he testifies that their timeline is based on an overview of an estimate. In my opinion, it's the biggest boom moment in the trial so far. I'll have to go back and watch that, Douglas. You brought it up a couple times. I might have misheard that. So thank you for that. I'll check that out. I think that Alex Murdaugh can turn on the dumb thing and turn it off. Same as his lawyer friends who represent him right now. They seem to have all gone to the same school. Suzanne, yes, they get up there and they do this confused like, so what are you saying thing? These are smart cookies. These are very good lawyers. I think Harpootlian was probably a better lawyer years before he was a politician. He's been a politician more recently, and so a lot of what he does comes across as politics and not lawyering. But I think he can be a very good lawyer if he would step back from his emotion a little bit and not try to yell his way to a point. I think he would be able to be more effective. But Jim is amazing, and he comes off as like now. He'll do the confused look, and because he wants the jury to be confused, he wants them to think, I'm confused. I don't know what's going on. The lawyer's confused. They don't know what's going on. We're all confused, right? They want confusion. And so that's why they're presenting it that way. But when he needs to, he is sharp as a tack, and he is right on point. Look at the cross that he's done earlier. It was amazing. As a Southern man with a 139 IQ and speaks with a twang, love to laugh at folks that hear me speak and thinks I is dumb. That's awesome. Is there I missed that one. Is there a picture of Bubba? I don't have one. I could probably search for it. Let's see. I grew up with a rural accent and people think I'm slow. I use it to my advantage. JC, cool. My son wants a metal detector. Can you recommend a good starter one? Yes, I can, JC. If you go on my channel page, there's a link tree link, and there's a machine on there that's a great entry metal detector. For those of you that don't know, I started metal detecting. That's what I started this channel doing, and I love metal detecting. I think I have 7 metal detectors now, on all the way from very entry level, like some that I wouldn't even recommend as a paperweight, all the way up through over $1,000 detectors. Not the high end, but just the very professional detectors. If your son wants to do it, I would recommend the Simplex, made by Nokta Macro, and I have a link to it in my link tree. If you click on that, it is an affiliate link. It's through Amazon. Doesn't cost you any more, but it will give me a little kickback if you do click that. But it's a good metal detector. It runs about $279 or so on Amazon. So it's rugged. It's a good detector. It has a lot of features that are only usually available on high-end detectors, and it works well. Donna says, if no cams on the property, you could go and metal detect and find all the gun evidence. Just a thought. Be a hero. I don't think they'd let me on. I'm pretty sure they'd be like, no. But those are some nice guns that are hidden somewhere. That one lawyer across the sled tech guy is great. He's got the darker hair and beard. I like him a lot. Buster is as involved as Alex Murdaugh. Alpaca, I take it you've listened to the jail calls. Those seem to indicate that there's something going on behind the scenes there. There is a photo of Bubba out there. Cousin Eddie is a dangerous witness for both sides, so I don't see the defense calling him. I agree. See, if you enjoy daily trials, please join us every week. Enjoy a cup of coffee with your own Recovery Addict mug. Which reminds me, I need a drink of the mug. This is I think we have 5 colors of this available. Still no purple or green yet, though. I'm drinking water, as I usually do. Let's see, so they pretend to be backward Southern lawyers, but they're really true city slickers. No, I think they're Southern at heart. I don't think they're pretending to be Southern. Paula Brown says, where can we listen to the jail calls if you know? Paula, probably the best place on YouTube would be to check out the Murdaugh Murder podcast and search for Murdaugh Murder podcast jail calls. And that would point you to the right place. It's a great podcast that these guys have been digging into the Murdaughs for like 4 years now. And they go through a lot of background. They have a lot of information. A lot of it is not brought into court. So you might listen to that and say like, oh, they're so guilty. Why are they not doing this? Most of it is probably not admissible in court, whether it's, how they got the information or how they would have to, authenticate it. It's just not going to be brought in. So the defense lawyer with the beard is Phil Barber. Yes, he's the one who was, used as a sort of a mannequin as well. We're matchy with our mugs today. You have the light blue as well, Kathy. That's awesome. Gordon says, I have a broad northeast of England accent. Some of you probably wouldn't understand me. I know all about accents. Fluid intake reminder. Thank you, T-Rocks. Let's see. Yes, Murdaugh Murder podcast is great. I agree, Kath. They did a fantastic job. They did such great work on that. I wish that they could produce them faster. I know that the writing and recording and editing, it takes some time, so they're sort of behind on the releasing of the podcast. I wish I could get like up to the minute what their latest podcast would be. Backwards is part of their game, but I don't understand. I don't question their southernness. La says, I've been binging the Murdaugh Murders podcast this weekend. It's pretty good. It's really good. I think the people that put it on actually got a deal with one of the big companies to produce Cup of Justice. I think that's their new show. Is that the right people? Let's see. Okay, so we are all caught up. Here's what we're going to do. It's a holiday, guys. We should all be out playing, at least most of us. Some of you guys have to work. But my kids have to do schoolwork because my wife says they're holding school today. So they're learning, and some of you guys have to work, and I apologize for that. But the rest of us do have a holiday. Tomorrow, court starts up again. The defense is going to be providing evidence. It will probably be some expert witnesses. I'm still in jail here. For those of you who don't notice, I'm sitting here in jail. I hope to get bailed out tomorrow by Weather Watch, by Thomas, my podcast partner. But we'll be back, and we'll be back at 9 o'clock in the morning to cover this. I appreciate all of you guys who came here. I appreciate all the new members who joined today, as well as all the subscribers and the lurkers who just show up. I hope all of you join us again at 9 o'clock on Tuesday morning, where we do this again. We do give away the internet first thing in the morning. The first person in chat, the first comment in chat, no matter what it is the winner of the internet. So today, 6-Volt Bus won that, and he is going to be responsible for keeping the internet up and running all afternoon and evening and until we go live again in the morning. So he's done a good job at that as well. He does have a lot of technical skills. But if you have any problems with your internet, in the meantime, reach out to 6-Volt Bus because he's responsible. I've got a few more questions I want to answer here before we wrap up. Let's see. Here we go. Murda podcast is behind when it comes to posting on YouTube, but on podcast platforms they're up to date. Okay, so I need to watch on Spotify or Apple Podcast. Thank you for that, Lindsay. I'll do that. And yes, it's Cup of Justice. Wonderful. It was shocking to hear that for myself, what an entitled, rude young man Paul was. The call to 911 when Satterfield fell after the boat accident in the hospital, etc. That's the right shirt for this background. Nice and gray. It should be striped, actually. I should have stripes on. I'm just glad the sheriff lets me do the podcast from the jail here. Did you see our Thursday video about legally transporting dead bodies? No, but I need to watch this one. I saw that it dropped. If you would like to watch this with me as soon as this is over, Matthew, if you go ahead and put the link, or actually just hit ! Matthew in chat, and we'll have the link to Matthew Harris's channel. He's our resident lawyer. He does some great stuff, but does a lot of short form, vertical format, funny law movies, videos that are educational as well. So please give that a watch. I'll try to highlight it here. I'm sure it's in chat already. Yep, looks like it just popped up there. Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate you guys for being here. It would not be the same without you, honestly. You guys are what makes this channel amazing, and I'm forever grateful for all of you. For my wife as well, for Mrs. R.A. Thank you all for being here and making this a fun place and making it so welcome for the new people. Have a great afternoon, Michelle. You as well. T-Rocks, yes, but the earlier background research of MMP is amazing and greatly appreciated. They got so big they left Fitz News. Fitz News, also great coverage. Yes, Fitz News made the trial. I saw a tweet from them. They're like, yeah, we'd like to not be mentioned in this trial, but they were. We'll see you tomorrow. Last Poet, thanks for being here. Matthew Harris, good to have you as well. We'll have to get you on the phone here again, Matthew. We haven't talked to you in too long, so we'll have to line that up somehow. Barb loves Alaska. I love the backdrop for the topic of the stream. I normally come to you from the courtroom, which since court's closed, it's appropriate that I come to you instead from the jail. But tomorrow it'll be this one right here. I'll be in the courtroom, but until then, I'm still stuck in jail. So see you all addicts. Thank you very much. Love you all. Spicy maple bourbon pickles are different than Famous Dave's. I've tested a jar of each last night. They are. They're very different. I wish they were the same. I'd like to find the brand name that they're based off of. But for those that don't know, spicy maple bourbon pickles from Walmart or from Food Lion, if you have that option, they're $3.84 a jar, and they will change your life. If you like pickles, these are unbelievable. Please sponsor my show just so I can get free pickles. They are amazing. Angie says, I have to admit to being a lurker. Can I get a boost on my internet? I'm a bit laggy. 6-volt bus. Can you turn up Angie's internet speed, please? That would be appreciated. Thank you. Lindsay Edwards also testified that he did cocaine and assortment of other drugs. Maybe that's why he sniffs so much. Let's see who else. If he is a corporate attorney and stole money from clients, will they have to go through all his cases? Nancy, the law firm, PMPED, did go through all his cases and found what they believe is all the times he shorted the money. He shorted the client money. They also found times where fees were charged that should not have been charged, and the law firm reimbursed it. The lawyers paid out of pocket to reimburse that. I believe they did sue Alex to get the reimbursement for all that they had to pay out, but they made everybody whole, and then they disbanded the PMPED as an entity and formed a new entity. So they no longer exist as PMPED. Now I have direct full attention to work. Lady Writer, you have to get some stuff done now. Have a great day and see you tomorrow for court. Love you to pieces. Thanks, mods. The mods are fantastic here. Both are very good. Yes, thank you. Please hit the like button on the way out the door. That does help me a little bit if you're able to do that. I appreciate that. Only if you like it. If you don't like it, click the dislike button twice. That's what I recommend. Mary Murphy, I'll see you in the morning as well. Have a great day. Gail, will I be able to watch the podcast if I stay in South Africa? You should be able to. I don't know of any restrictions on the YouTube videos. I don't know if you can watch the current ones on the podcast platforms, but on YouTube you should be able to watch the older ones. Looks like a few more people. Caleb, thanks for becoming an addict, for subscribing to the channel. Let's see. Joy Today 75 says, I really like it here. I can listen to you while working. Well, thank you, Joy Today. I appreciate you joining me. I think we're good. What we're going to do now is we're going to play some music and call it a day just a little bit. It was fun. I love going over the timeline with you guys. We're excited. Life in prison on fraud. That's very likely, Kevin. Jennifer says, ordering my mug now. Yay, see you tomorrow. Thank you, Jennifer. I hope you love it. Choose which color. Let me know which color you choose. It'll be good. Tomorrow, court starts again. Have a wonderful afternoon. Please, I'll tell you the same thing I tell you every day. When you go home tonight, please hug the people you love. Smile at people. Make their day just a little bit better. And please stay safe till we go live again, which will be 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Half an hour before court starts. You can watch it together as this all happens live. Thank you all. You're amazing. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.